If you've ever wished you've had more eyes so that you can watch more March Madness, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. And welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is Friday, as we like to say around here, March 20th, of course. And we've got some more news. Obviously, the conflict still raging on there. That is having its effect on the market. And SMCI has some bad news out this morning. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to give you some stocks to watch. We're going to have Mark Putrino on today. We're going to have Anne-Marie on today. We're going to have Trading Made Simple following our program here. Full slate for this Friday morning before the basketball games start again. We're back at it. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition for March 20th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and hopefully your brackets are not busted just yet. What an exciting slate of games we got yesterday, and we look to continue that here today. But before that happens, we've got some market to deal with. We've got some news to cover. We've got some jokes to be had. We've got some fun to be had. We've got a full day of content here for you. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces as per usual. Peter is first here today. I got to be honest, Peter, you have a very high percentage of being up and at them early, and you keep making it here early, and we appreciate you and all your support. Thanks, buddy. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Astro Kev, good morning. Welcome back. Trump lifting oil sanctions, easing market supply in advance of the next steps of the conflict. Market should start its move to recovery. Your lips to God's ears, Astro Kev. Let's hope that's the case. Cad Monkey, good morning. Yeah, so fine is back. Good morning. Francis, good morning. It's good to see you again. Edro, good morning. Marty, good morning. Is it PetSmart or is it Mart for Pets? I need answers. I think it's PetSmart. Honestly. Good morning, Zach, or afternoon or evening to you. Welcome back. Hopefully all is well. Good morning, Sean. Glad we were able to get that problem resolved. Really quickly, if for anyone that's having an issue with Pro, you can send me an email. I will send you a screenshot that walks you through every step to fix it right now. We basically released a patch, and if you have old cache data, it might be blocking you from logging in. The fix is easy. You just need to follow the steps. So shoot me an email if you're having that. We got Sean all resolved here real quick, and I've been in contact with others this morning as well. And if you do email me, mention it in the chat because I don't have my email in front of me, and I'm busy hosting a show, and I'm able to do multiple things at once, which is impressive. Whisk, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, good morning. It's okay about the caps. It's okay. We don't need yelling in the morning, but it's all good. And I appreciate your enthusiasm for coming back, boss. Billy, good morning. We will absolutely be talking about FDX as well. They reported earnings last night. General market barometer or economy barometer, and it's trading higher here, but I think like 9% last I checked. So we'll definitely break down those earnings, and I'm sure we'll take a look at FedEx here today. Marty's asking if we can take a look at McCormick. Sure, MCK added to the list. We will absolutely do that. Potji, good afternoon from sunny Belgium. All right, that sounds absolutely awesome. We're actually supposed to get some sun here today. We're going to get up to 65 here after just getting a blanket of snow at the beginning of the week. Chicago spring, it's fun. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Billy saying SMCI divergence, RSI divergence. Yeah, it's diverging all right. Diverging into the toilet. We're going to cover SMCI today here as well. Producer, thanks for everything. And welcome back. Jay Wild, what's going on, bro? Tato Chip, welcome back. It's good to see you as always as well. Hope all is going well in your corner of the universe. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Big Hurt, good morning. Welcome back. What do you got on deck, Big Hurt? I'm sure you're going to be telling us here. Only lost 2 games yesterday in your bracket? Big Hurt, that's pretty good, dude. You must be doing pretty well so far. Kimosabi, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you. Sean, awesome. Bill, good morning. Welcome back. Zach says, got a nice tequila night on the cards with some old friends. Well, I joke about the tequila thing. 100% agave, of course. enjoy. The fact that you're hanging out with a group of friends there to celebrate, that's the real winner right there. Good stuff, and enjoy. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Marionette, it's good to see you again, as always. Marionette had a really good piece of feedback yesterday. Why don't we do the poll early here? Let's get it rolling early during like the welcome session, so there's enough people can vote in it, and we can preview it early. So, producer, I think we should do something centered around SMCI today, and I give you some creative freedom on the responses. But basically, what we want to know is: are you buying this? Are you not buying this? Has this thing been a turd the entire time? I'll let you use some of your creativity. Let's get that poll up as soon as possible. Marionette, keep that feedback coming. We appreciate that. We're going to better the show for everybody. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back. As just mentioned there with SMCI, we're going to be talking about that. Please vote in the poll when we do get that up. Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Kelly, Order 2. Good morning. Welcome back. Arturo, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Maverick, good morning. Who else am I missing here? Amasar, good morning. Golden Brown, great morning. Dude, just way to kick the energy up without even being asked, just kicking the energy up like an absolute boss. Let's go. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to see. Tyler and Ed, good morning. Golden says, I haven't been here in a long time. Well, the best time to be back here was yesterday. The second best time is today. So glad to have you back. That sounds awesome. Matt says, good morning. Beautiful day to lose some money. No, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to make some here today. No question about it. Welcome back. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure today ahead of Friday's open, although they have already started to bounce up off the lows. S&P futures down 0.32%, Dow futures down 0.25%, and the NASDAQ futures leading the way lower at 0.47% to the downside. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session here. Materials, consumer discretionary, and staple shares led the S&P 500 lower on Thursday, while energy and financials managed to close higher despite the downturn. Iran warned of zero restraint following strikes on its energy infrastructure amid the ongoing war. Well, the first U.S. F-35 jet was reportedly hit by Iranian fire during a combat mission. Additionally, Iranian attacks have knocked out 17% of Qatar's LNG export capacity, which threatens about $20 billion in annual losses and long-term disruptions to global energy supplies. Also, market volatility is expected to surge today as the S&P 500 enters its triple witching season. I know several of you are waiting for that. A quarterly event where the simultaneous expiration of stock options, index options, and index futures has resulted in a positive session only 20% of the time over the last 5 years. So it looks like that witching, the odds are that we see a down day here today. We'll see how it shakes out. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.28%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.83%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show the market are pricing in a 93.8% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the interest rates unchanged in its upcoming April meeting. Very similar to what we saw for March. Now, we have several stocks in focus here for you today. FedEx is going to be the first one, ticker FDX. It jumped 10.43% in the pre-market on Friday after reporting better than expected third quarter financial results and raising its fiscal year 26 adjusted EPS guidance above estimates. Really quickly, just to clean up the entire print here, Q3 adjusted EPS of $5.25 beat the $4.13 estimate. Sales of $24 billion beat the estimate of $23.421 billion. FedEx raises its fiscal year 2026 adjusted EPS guidance from $17.80 to $19 to $19.30 to $20.10. That was versus an $18.70 estimate, so pretty good raise there. Excuse me, and they widened the fiscal year 2026 sales guidance from $93.5 billion to $93.2 to $93.64 billion. That was versus the $92.7 billion estimate. So FedEx, good all around on its earnings report. The next stock on our list is going to be Super Microcomputer, and the ticker on this one is SMCI, and it plunged 23.61% after its co-founder, including two other individuals, were charged in an alleged scheme to unlawfully export artificial intelligence technology to China. We're going to have more on this story coming up here in a little bit. Planet Labs is the next stock on our list, and the ticker on this one is PL, and it soared 17.25% after reporting better than expected fourth quarter sales results and issuing fiscal year 27 guidance above estimates. Planet Labs saw Q4 sales of 86.82 million. That beat the 78.52 million estimate. Planet Labs sees Q1 sales of 87.91 million. That was versus an estimate of 84.5 million, so a raise there. Planet Labs sees fiscal year 2027 sales of 415 to 440 million. That was versus the estimate of 379 million. So another good report there for Planet Labs. Higher we go on that stock. The next stock on our list is Scholastic Corporation. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. A very long time. Ticker on this one is SCHL, and it gained 10.54% after reporting better than expected earnings for the third quarter and announcing a $200 million buyback. That print for Q3 had an adjusted EPS of a 15-cent loss. That beat the estimate of a 36-cent loss, and they saw sales of 329.1 million versus the estimate of 331 million. The last stock on our list is going to be Serena Therapeutics, and this should be familiar because this was on our movers list yesterday. The ticker is SER, and it dropped 7.87% as a private placement totaling 15 million is scheduled to finalize today, with an additional 15 million tranche possible by April 30th. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we go. So I have some new lines added here. This is courtesy of the happy hour. Yesterday was a very interesting day. It was absolutely trading like I had thought right up until the afternoon when we had the Netanyahu press conference confirming that the war is not going to go on all that long. Also confirming that he's not dead. Also confirming that he can't possibly tell Trump what to do. So he exposed a lot of fake nonsense during that whole thing. Now, the important part of that is that we tried to trade up. We tried to recapture the 200-day. Remember, we actually gapped down beneath the 200-day when the market opened. We tried to trade up and recapture the 200-day, and we simply didn't have the strength. So let's take a quick peek inside here on the SPY. This is what we're talking about. Volume flow, totally in there. We actually traded above the average volume, which I did not expect. We tried to trade above the 200-day, but we couldn't quite close above it, and we dipped back beneath it here. Now, the important part there is this looks like a rejection of the 200-day. So today, we'll see if we can recapture that. Just gave you the stats on how the market performs on witching days, and 25% of the day, or 25% of the time, it is going to be green. And so the odds are in favor of our market trading a little bit lower here today. We'll see what we end up getting. The other thing that we did is I had when we were discussing the SPY yesterday in happy hour, one of the members said we are getting a broadening wedge that's a broadening descending wedge here on the 4-hour chart on SPY. And indeed, that's what I've drawn here with some of these two trend lines. These are the new trend lines that we've added to the chart here. You can see that today in the pre-market, the SPY is trying to hold the bottom of this trend line, just kind of estimating that. I've got it at about 550 or 655-ish, maybe 654 to 655. So we'll see if we are able to hold this here today. Better still, if we can recapture the 200. Otherwise, maybe we'll trade sideways here beneath the 200 and set up for a possible recapture next week. Otherwise, if we break that trend line, it's probably going to be lower, more to the downside, or lower we go. 650-ish would be the next spot that I have there on the SPY. That would coincide with the November 2025 lows. So we'll see what the SPY has in store for us today. Right now in the pre-market here, it is trying to bounce and recapture the VWAP not able to do that. Again, we'll see what happens when the volume flows in there. Let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. According to Luis Alvarado, co-head of global fixed income strategy at the Wells Fargo Investment Institute, the broader U.S. economy currently shows signs of resilience. This is a common theme that we have been discussing over a lot of these analysts. It's not just one, it's many. While the S&P 500 index recently slipped, Alvarado suggests that public credit markets remain relatively calm, which often serves as an early warning indicator for broader market health. And we also got FedEx earnings, which is sometimes viewed as that as well. He anticipates that large corporations will, quote, continue to benefit from the AI infrastructure build out and a resilient consumer, end quote. However, this optimism is tempered by a focus on quality. Alvarado notes that, quote, markets are rewarding companies with stable business models, end quote, with those with weaker fundamentals facing capital constraints. Regarding the economic landscape, he views current stresses in private credit as a growing pain rather than a systemic threat. He advises that, quote, calm conditions in public credit markets suggest that portfolios do not need to be positioned defensively for systemic risk, end quote. Ultimately, his outlook for the market emphasizes discipline, not complacency, quote, urging investors to remain anchored to long-term objectives rather than reading volatile short-term headlines. No major economic data on deck for us here today. All right, let's talk about SMCI. And yeah, let's start with the chart. So here we go. I know we've actually been asked about SMCI quite a bit recently. I know it's kind of showing like it wanted to trade up here, but ultimately it basically just stayed sideways. And now we got the big piece of news here today. You can see we're actually dropping here. Our low from the accounting fiasco that this thing went through, looks like it was in a 17 handle there. And so here we go. Looks like that's coming up next year. Stock's currently 22.75 in the pre-market here. So we'll see how low we actually go with SMCI. Now, what's going on here? Department of Justice charges spark a 12% after hours plunge that has now extended to over 20% in super micro computer. The decline followed the announcement from the U.S. Department of Justice that 3 individuals were charged in an alleged scheme. Oh, come on, dude. In an alleged scheme to unlawfully export artificial intelligence technology to China. Now, I'm going to do my best here. No disrespect to anybody. The individuals included the co-founder of the company, Yishan Liao, known as Wally, Rui Sang Chang, known as Steven, and a sales manager in Taiwan, Ting Wei Soon, known as Willie, a contractor. These, quote, conspired to sell billions of dollars worth of servers integrating sensitive, controlled graphic processing units to buyers in China in violation of U.S. export control laws, end quote. And that was from the Assistant Director Roman Rozhovsky of the FBI's Counterintelligence and Espionage Division. The Department of Justice said the defendants conspired to systemically divert restricted technology to China without proper licenses. In a statement, SMCI said it was informed of the indictment and highlighted that the company itself was not named as a defendant. Quote, the conduct by these individuals alleged in the indictment is a contravention of the company's policies and compliance controls, end quote. It also added that it placed co-founder and another employee on leave and terminated ties with a contractor involved in the case. The company said it's cooperating with the government's investigation. SMCI did not immediately respond to our comment, as you can probably imagine. As we get more on that, we will absolutely update you. Even as it deepens ties with NVIDIA through the rollout of high-density Blackwell AI systems, SMCI has seen its momentum score sink to 12.82 this week. The percentile-based metrics suggest that the stock is lagging most of the market when it comes to price performance and volatility trends. So here's a look at that. It does have a 67th percentile for growth. It's got a 97.8 percentile for quality there and an 80 percentile for value. But with this overhang, makes it real difficult. I'd love to get opinions from the group on how you're going to trade this. What are you going to do? Are you going to avoid it, which I think is a completely fine move here? Are you going to try and short-term trade it, maybe a reflexive bounce? How are you approaching this? One other thing that I want to mention here, SMCI's pain likely Dell's gain. And in fact, when I checked earlier, Dell, ticker DELL, was trading higher in the pre-market. And indeed, that's the case. Closed at 156 yesterday, currently 163 in the pre-market. So maybe if you don't want to even bother with SMCI, maybe if it's too dirty for you, Dell might be a possible option for an upside trade in sympathy with this. So something else to consider. Day trader here saying hard pass. Day trader, I don't know if that's a political thing or if you're talking about SMCI. If you're talking about SMCI, I completely agree with you. I would rather not trade SMCI, and I would rather try to trade something connected to this, like the Dell connection that I'm bringing to you here today. So again, this is why I wanted the group's opinion. This is also why I wanted to get a poll up quickly. And producer, if you have not put that poll together, maybe we can incorporate Dell into the poll at some point. If you've already done it, no problem. Thanks for taking care of that. But this is what's going on here. I am sure we're going to see more of this, and I'm sure there's going to be folks that are looking to trade this here. Thank you, producer, for putting the poll up. Folks, please vote in that poll for us. All right. We've got some more Rivian news here. Is Pete here today? Rivian making some headlines. Got a tweet about it too. Rivian's $1.25 billion Uber robo-taxi deal looks like a big win, but some analysts say it's actually a high-stakes test. Rivian Automotive on Thursday announced a deal with Uber, wherein the latter will invest up to $1.25 billion in the company through 2031. That caused Rivian to pop yesterday. We looked at that. Contingent on achieving specific autonomous milestones. As part of the deal, Rivian will provide up to 50,000 R2-based robotaxis. Uber has committed on an initial investment of $300 million, and the initial order covers 10,000 robotaxis, with an option for Uber to purchase up to 40,000 additional. Rivian has to hit 4 performance milestones to secure the complete funding from Uber. And I think this is going to be one of the really important parts of this. We should be able to monitor this, and we should be able to keep an eye on whether or not they're going to be able to get the full value of this partnership or this deal. BNP Paribas equity research senior analyst and head of U.S. auto research James Piccirillo, in a note, said that the deal shows Uber's confidence in Rivian's autonomy capabilities. Piccirillo, in a note, said, quote, "This further supports Rivian's decision to develop autonomy in-house while confirming that it expects to reach commercially viable level 4 capabilities by 2028, end quote. While some have called the deal a positive for Rivian, not everyone agrees. EMJ Capital's founder, Eric Jackson, in a post on X, called this a test for Rivian. Quote, "Rivian's $1.25 billion Uber deal looks like validation, but it's actually a test," end quote. He highlighted that Uber has signed deals with several companies, including Alphabet's Waymo, Lucid Group, and Neuro from NVIDIA. So those tickers GOOG and GOOGL, LCID and NVDA, and more. Uber's deal with Rivian is an option for the ride-hailing giant, while Rivian is going all in for the deal. Rivian has confirmed that due to an increase in research and development costs, it no longer expects to deliver positive EBITDA in 2027. Quote, "Rivian just pushed out profitability and increased burn," end quote. And remember, when we were talking about Rivian yesterday, 13 and I are on the exact same page on this stock and have been for some time. They simply burn too much money. Now, this Gary Black quote we're going to cover here in a sec. But if anyone wants the article here, I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat for you. We'll take a look at that here in a sec in the next segment. Let me keep rolling through some of the news here. We've got 6 minutes till Putrino. We do have some more news here on AI, data centers, and CapEx and all of that. Amazon, Meta, CapEx driving a record $45 billion data center construction boom, which is overtaking an office build for the first time in history. Driven by massive infrastructure spending from tech giants like Amazon, AMZN, and Meta Platforms, META, the value of U.S. data centers construction has officially surpassed traditional office buildings for the first time in history. The American commercial real estate landscape has crossed a monumental threshold. According to recent market data highlighted by the Kobesi letter, data centers under construction have surged with a 29% year-over-year jump to a record 45.1 billion. The rapid growth has pushed data center projects past general office construction, marking a permanent shift in how corporate America utilizes physical space. This is, of course, on the ChatGPT effect. This unprecedented boom is being directly fueled by the artificial intelligence revolution. To support resource-heavy AI models, hyperscalers have aggressively ramped up their CapEx spending. Companies like Amazon and Meta are leading the charge, pouring billions into sprawling, power-hungry, and power-dense facilities designed to handle massive computational workloads. The shift, accelerated sharply by the public debut of generative AI since November of 2022, when ChatGPT was launched, data center construction is up a whopping 228%. Kobesi letter noted, concluding simply that AI is reshaping the U.S. economy. Full stop. While the digital infrastructure sector thrives, traditional office construction continues to face a severe downturn, still grappling with the long-term impacts of remote work and shifting corporate priorities. The value of general offices currently under construction has fallen by 13% over the past year, now sitting at just 43.5 billion. Office development has officially hit its lowest point since October of 2015. The contrast is staggering. Over the same period, data center builds skyrocketed over 200%, and general office construction has plummeted by 38%. The stark divergence underscores a clear transition in the modern economy as investments. I mean, come on, what is going on? I'm sorry. The unprecedented boom is being directly fueled by, I already read that. While the digital transformation sector thrives, traditional office construction continues to face a severe downturn, still grappling with the long-term impacts of the remote work. The contrast is staggering. Over the exact same period, oh my God, I already read that. The stark divergence underscores a clear transition in the modern economy as investments in the physical office fade and the digital data center is swiftly taking place. Shares of Amazon were down 9.56% year to date, and Meta declined 8.06%, while the NASDAQ 100 index tumbled 3.38% in the same period. However, over the last month, Amazon was up 1.9% and Meta dropped 5.9%, respectively. Here, for anyone that's interested here, here's the article that has some of those edge rankings in there. And hopefully it doesn't shift around on you. All right, one more thing, kind of also regarding the electric vehicles here. This one kind of stood out to me. XPeng is sounding the alarm on China EV demand with a disappointing outlook. I know there's been some talk out there about everything being good in China. This show has tried to tell you that that's absolute baloney. Now you're going to get some more on this here. XPeng delivered a milestone quarter, swinging to profit and posting robust growth, but a revenue miss and a sharply weaker outlook signaled mounting pressure from a cooling Chinese EV market. The company delivered 22.25 billion Chinese yuan, or 3.18 billion USD in quarterly revenue, which was a 38.2% year-over-year jump that landed just shy of the 3.32 billion analyst consensus forecast. The Tesla rival's quarterly vehicle deliveries increased 27% year over year. XPeng's physical sale network had 721 stores covering 255 cities as of the end of 2025. XPeng's self-operated charging station network reached 3,159 stations as of December 31st, including 2,108 XPeng ultra-fast charging stations. Revenues from vehicle sales increased 30% year over year to 19.07 billion Chinese yuan, or 2.73 billion USD, due to higher deliveries. Gross margin was at 21.3% versus the 14.4% a year ago. Vehicle margin was 13% versus 10% a year ago, primarily attributable to cost reduction. Operating loss for the quarter was 40 million Chinese yuan, or 10 million USD. Adjusted earnings per share were 52 Chinese yuan versus the analyst consensus loss estimate of 0.06 Chinese yuan. In USD terms, the adjusted EPADS was 7 cents. The company held 6.81 billion in cash as of the end of 2025. Now, Xiaopeng has said that XPeng delivered 429,445 vehicles in 2025, which marked 125.9% year-over-year increase, while continuing to advance its physical AI strategy through faster commercialization and global expansion. He added that the company is at a key turning point in AI-driven mobility, aiming to grow its share in AI-defined vehicles, a move from advanced driver assistance towards full autonomy, expands its next generation VLA model globally and scale production of humanoid robots. XPeng projects fiscal first quarter 2026 vehicle deliveries between 61,000 and 66,000 units, reflecting a decline of 29.79 to 35.11% year over year. The company anticipates quarterly revenue of 12.2 billion Chinese yuan to 13.28 billion Chinese yuan, marking a decline of 16 to 22.84% year over year, versus the analyst consensus estimate of 14.8 billion Chinese yuan. XPeng's weak first quarter revenue outlook, hit by slowing Chinese EV demand, overshadowed the first ever quarterly profit at the end of 2025. And that was from Bloomberg. The report added that Chinese automakers are bracing for weaker EV demand as subsidy cuts weigh on sales, with overall passenger vehicle sales down 25% year over year in February, and new energy vehicles falling even worse, or even more, according to the Chinese Passenger Car Association. All right, 8:31. We're doing it. Let's go back to Pro. And actually, we're going to be able to hide Pro here because it is that time of the week again. Let's go ahead and bring on Mark Putrino. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How you doing, boss?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Look, we got, I don't know if you heard, I don't know how the weather is by you. We got a blanket of snow to start the week. We're going to close the week with 65 and 70 degrees. So things are going good. March Madness tournament is on. My bracket is not busted, although Duke gave a little bit of a scare yesterday. So things are going pretty good. How about you?
I was on the Sienna bandwagon yesterday for a while. That was pretty exciting. But I just knew that they weren't going to pull it off.
See, I had that same feeling. Now, I don't have Duke winning the whole thing. So even if they had been upset yesterday, it wouldn't have really knocked me out. It would have hurt a little. But I was in the exact same page that you are. I'm watching this and I'm like, WTF is Duke doing? But at the same time, I was like, I don't think Sienna's going to pull this off. Credit to those kids, though. They played with no fear, and they played a team that was superior in terms of talent, and they hung with them for the entire game. So
yeah,
we're not taking anything away from the kids that were playing. That's for sure.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament, I think it really is the best sporting event because there's so many games that come down to the wire and there's upsets. And so UConn's playing tonight, and I think they'll win this one. They look pretty bad, though, against St. John's in the Big East.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We'll see how it goes. Mark, you want to share your charts? I can't wait to hear what you have on deck for us today. And I've already got some charts here for us to take a look at when you're ready. But let's go ahead and see. Let me go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Well, I think we're getting pretty close to a buying opportunity here. So I'm sure you know exactly what I'm going to talk about when I bring up the SPY. And that would be, we're getting close to this former support level here around 650. Let me just fix this here for a second. So as we can see, we got down to here. This line is, we'll just call it 650. Well, 649 to be really precise. But a lot of times when a market gets to a level that was a bottom before, it becomes support again. The way this happens is there's people that were freaking out and they are selling down here for whatever news drove the market down on this day. No doubt it was some tariff related thing. But anyway, the next day it blasts off. And when that happens, a lot of the people who sold regret doing so. And they say, if I can buy these shares back at the same price I sold them at, I'm going to. So when we drop back to the level that had been support, if you get enough remorseful sellers placing buy orders, it can become support again. So we're getting really close here. And I would think that we might even get there today. Now, one of the reasons why I think that we're going to rebound as opposed to breaking through is because of this huge bearish sentiment that we have. Now, I look at this, it comes out once a week. And the idea here is you look for extremes. And if you have extreme bearishness, it's actually good for the market, because I know it's counterintuitive and it's called a contrarian indicator. But if the vast majority of investors are bearish, what do? They sell. Okay. And eventually the market runs out of sellers, and a market with no sellers can only go higher. So we are getting pretty up into the kind of extreme zone for bearishness. And here at 52%. And in the past 2 weeks, we've jumped 17% in bearishness. So what that could mean is that a lot of the people that wanted to sell are doing so and are finishing it up. And if we get down here and the market stops going down and starts to rebound, there's going to be a lot of money on the sidelines that can come back in. So that is what I am primarily looking at, just in terms of equities. And of course, want to just keep an eye on what's going on in the oil market, right? Which seems to have really kind of calmed down. We had this one big spike where this thing jumped 50% in 24 hours. And I was able to make a profit on that with one of these inverse ETFs. SCO is the symbol. Right now, we're just kind of going sideways. The other big story yesterday was this big sell-off in silver and gold. And
indeed,
yeah, I don't know what triggered it. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and you know what someone told me yesterday, which I think is really cool? They said if you take a bar of silver and you put an ice cube on it, the ice cube will melt, because there's some property in the silver that makes the ice melt, even if it's not hot.
I'll have to dig my silver ingot out of my safe and try that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He was explaining to me all these different things that you can do with silver and so forth and so on. And, but anyway, again, kind of the same thing with the S&P. See how we got to a level that was support before, and it became support again. And now we're right back down there. So I don't think I would do anything here, but I would be watching it for a reversal to jump in, maybe, if you don't own any, or would probably be a good time to get in if it holds this level. But remember, as always, we want to be patient and wait and see. You want to react. It's a dangerous thing for a trader to have an opinion, because when you have an opinion, it affects your emotions, and it affects the way that you look at things. It makes you susceptible to biases and so forth. If you tell all your trading friends, hey, you got to go buy XYZ, it's the greatest stock since sliced bread, well, then you're emotionally committed to XYZ, and you might not see things, and you might not even realize that you don't see things, because it could be subconscious, but you might see things that are contrary to your opinion, but you don't pay attention to it or give it the proper importance or what have you. Remember, this is all about psychology. Gold, same kind of a thing here. Now, this is an example of finding, well, you can see we found support at the same level that was support back here, but this is a situation where resistance turns into support. So this is oversold and at support. So this might be setting up for some kind of a bounce here too. So, and there are a lot of charts out there that are looking pretty good.
Can I ask you really quick, not to knock you off your roll here? Can you take a look at the SPY, because we basically just interacted with the 200-day moving average for the first time in a long time, and I think that there, it looked like yesterday we were going to try and bounce and recapture it, although we couldn't. We actually ended up closing beneath it, so it looks like a rejection. And so I'm hypothesizing that going forward, we're likely going to have yet another test of this 200.
Yeah. It's kind of, that wouldn't surprise me. So that could even bring in some more buy interest over here. So yeah, one of the things I'm watching now is this healthcare sector. I shouldn't have said they look good, but I should say it looks like there might be some ideas coming up here, because healthcare is oversold, and this is a situation where you get resistance at a former support level. As a matter of fact, that was one of my stocks of the day this past week was pointing out this action here in Carvana. This is a very common thing you see in markets. And remember, people think that people let the markets freak them out because they're so big and they're so complicated and there's so much going on. But you really want to just keep it simple. And I was in the institutional trading world for 20 years, and I hear all this stuff in the retail community about how, oh, you can tell what the institutions are doing, or, you can see what's going on over in these dark pools and blah, blah, blah. That's all myth, man. You just want to pay attention to the important price levels, the psychology, the momentum. Look at here how we can see this is seller's remorse, right? People sell, and at first they thought they made the right decision when the price goes lower. And then when the resistance breaks, a lot of them tell themselves, darn, I shouldn't have sold. If I can buy my shares back at the same price I sold them at, I will. So resistance becomes support. Resistance becomes support. Resistance becomes support. And what's amazing is you can see these same patterns on charts of different securities, because regardless of whether you're trading stocks or bonds or commodities or cryptos, people experience the same emotions. And this is what shows up on charts. So if this wasn't labeled, we wouldn't know what it was. It could be virtually anything. You could look at charts from the 1800s and you see the exact same patterns that we see today. So going back to healthcare, I'm watching this for a possible reversal. Now, as we can see, we're in a situation where we're at a former resistance level. And the two biggest stocks in this sector are Eli Lilly. And we can see this is sitting right on a former resistance level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a coincidence when this thing had this sell-off that this is where it found support. It's because it was resistance back here. The other biggest stock in healthcare is Johnson & Johnson. And it too is sitting on a support level. So if the market turns, there could be some good ideas over here in the healthcare sector. So I got my eye on that too there.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Anything else that you're looking at?
I guess we could look at Costco.
Good idea. And I'm going to ask you about SMCI as well, because we had some big news on that.
SMCI. Yeah, Costco, same kind of thing here. Just holding up. Doesn't look like much is going on, but we are kind of at the bottom of a range. Yeah, I see someone here asked about VWAP, and that's another misunderstood thing. It's the volume at weighted average price. So the reason why that came into concept was back in the 70s and late 70s. There was this thought of like, how do we decide if our traders are doing a good job or not? Because you need something to compare them to. If you're the guy who's running Fidelity and you have 50 traders that are working on your trading desk, how do you decide who's doing a good job and who's not doing a good job? So these guys came up with this thing called volume weighted average price, where basically what they would do is if you were a trader and you had a buy order and you bought it lower than the volume weighted average price, they said you did a good job. If you bought it higher, they said you did a bad job. There was ways it could be gamed. When all the trading desks that I ran, we did all that stuff. We did our transaction cost analysis, it's called, but I never really put too much emphasis on it. We did it because the clients want to see it. They want to make sure that you're monitoring all this stuff and so forth and so on. But that's all it is. So I think the thought is people say like, don't buy something if it's above the weighted average, or don't buy it if it's below. I'm not even really sure what they say, but think about this, right? Let's just say a stock opens and 1 million shares trade at 10, and then the stock goes to 11 and it trades 100,000 shares. Well, then the weighted average price is going to be 10.10. So that's all VWAP is. It's not really something that I pay attention to. But
okay, yeah, for us short-term traders here, we often view that as an intraday automatically generated support and resistance line. And we often see that these equities, both small and large, interact with this intraday. But for me, at least in my experience, longer term, it has less and less of an impact. Now, you might have a different feeling on like an anchored VWAP that you would look at a longer term chart, like a daily, but that's separate from I think what the group's talking about here.
Yeah, I mean it can be skewed by like one big print can come together, like a block trade could go up. Like say you're trading, there's a stock that trades 3 million shares a day and you got an order to buy or sell 1 million shares. Well, if you're a trader, all of a sudden that's like, man, that's a hard trade. I got to buy 1 million shares of this stock and then trades only 3 million shares a day. So that's a third of the volume.
Yeah. You're like the
how
whole
do I
bar
do
that day?
How do I do this without moving the price of the stock? Well, hopefully there's someone else out there and some other firm that wants to sell 1 million shares and they have the same fear. Like, how the hell am I supposed to sell this without knocking the price down? So if me and that guy could somehow find each other, and that's the role of the broker, is to match us up, we could just throw up a block of 1 million shares and that would just completely change whatever the average weighted price was of that day. So anyway, this SMCI is trading pretty, wow, down here. This looks,
I mean, this is gapping down today on alleged reports that some of its employees were smuggling AI chips to China to get around export controls. And just to be clear, the company is distancing itself from the alleged individuals. So it's not the company being accused, it's specific individuals. And the company has said that they are cooperating with the investigation while simultaneously distancing themselves from the individuals.
all right. Well,
it's rotten to the core, though.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So obviously we would look here if this thing keeps going lower, down around 18 or so.
Yeah, 17, 18. Yeah, absolutely.
But this is the kind of thing where I would watch this because let's just say that this news is let's say the move is an over exaggeration the market is overreacting. Well, right now, as we speak, there's analysts all over the place reading these numbers, going through all the notes, so forth and so on. And if they come to the conclusion that this story is bad, but the market's overreacting, we're going to go in there and start buying. That usually happens around mid-morning, like 10 or 10:30, because that's about the time that they finish up and they go tell the traders, all right, hey, start buying or start selling if they think it's bad. So I would look at this for some kind of a counter trend move around 10 or 10:30. If it starts moving higher, then I think there's a good chance we have follow through. The other thing I would think about is if this thing just completely keeps going lower, I'd be looking for a rebound down around here somewhere. Again, you can see it's an example of support at a former support level. Support at a former support level.
And so it looks like what's happening here is that we're breaking a support level and looking to go to the next support level. That's really what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people ask me a lot about, do I pay attention to fundamentals or earnings and so forth? And the answer is not really, because the way I look at the market is like this, right? Let's pretend I'll use my often used analogy of the market. So we're in this medieval market and there's only one road in and out of town. And one day, one of the merchants notices, gee, look at that. There's only 3 carloads of apples coming in here today. On a typical day, there's 20 carloads of apples. So that means maybe the price of apples is going to go up when all the customers show up. So they go in and they buy the apples up quietly. And when the market opens and people come in and they're like, hey, where are the apples? And they start bidding against each other, that moves the price up. The merchant turns around and sells the apples back to them at the higher price. So it has nothing to do with where the apples were grown or what vitamins are in them or what kind of apples they are. It's just someone recognized that a market is out of equilibrium or would be out of equilibrium. And when markets get out of equilibrium, what do? They return to equilibrium. So, or they set a new equilibrium. So that's kind of the mindset of the shorter term trader, because in the short run, these moves are just made by psychology. Like we can see how on Carvana, the levels. Look at this, was also a stock of the day. Estee Lauder. See how support here becomes resistance here? For some reason, this particular stock likes this $85 level. Now, back here, people bought, and then the price went down. A lot of the people who bought were like, what was I thinking? I shouldn't have bought this. If I can ever get out of this losing position at break even, I will. So they hold on to it. And when we return to that level, remorseful buyers placing sell orders make support become resistance. Then we get this phenomena we saw before. After the resistance breaks, the people who sold at it get seller remorse and they say, gee, if I can, I'm going to buy my shares back at the same price I sold them at. So this is set up here for something that could be a potential reversal if the market starts to move higher. The way I would trade this is if we broke above this level right here, then that's where I would consider getting in. I guess if you're more willing to take on risk, maybe if the RSI line just starts to turn higher, that could be an entry point. But these levels are set by psychology. You can't argue anyhow or any way that this is justified by earnings or valuations. I mean, what could potentially make a company move this quickly if there's no news? And the only thing that really shifts is the people's opinions, right? It's like the guys on the floor of the picture that we look at. You know, they're the auction market. Now it happens in the electronic markets, but it's more akin to being a ticket scalper than a mathematician. If you're a ticket scalper and you buy tickets to a Bears game, well, they're not a good example because I want to use a team that might not sell it. So let's just say you're a scalper and you buy tickets for a concert and the concert's completely sold out. People are coming from all over. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to read the supply and demand and you're going to jack the price of your tickets up. If the concert isn't sold out and it's raining and no one's coming and you got this big supply of tickets that you put the money into, you're going to try to get out with as little bit of a loss as possible. So in the situation where the concert sold out, the buyers go to the sellers, the buyers go to the scalper. In the situation where the place isn't sold out, the sellers, the scalpers go to the buyers. And it's the same thing in a market. When a market is moving higher, the buyers are going to the sellers paying their prices. When a market's going down, the sellers are going to the buyers and accepting their bids. So we don't want to overthink this because it's not chess or calculus, because those things make sense. Like in chess, the pieces always move the same way. This is more like poker because it's really profound. And I think a lot of people take this stuff for granted. But when you look at something like this, people will say, oh, you know, that level is so obvious that it's got to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everyone's looking at the same chart.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, first of all, my counter to that would be most people that are investors or investors don't even look at charts. Most fundamental money managers, they're into models. You know, they have their valuation models and so forth. Analysts don't look at charts. Investment bankers don't. So the only people that really do are traders. But let's take it a step farther. If everyone is looking at the same chart, well, then if everyone's looking at the same chart, half the people think one thing and half the people think the other thing, because on every trade, there's a buyer and a seller. So maybe people are looking at the same charts, but they're seeing exactly opposite things.
And the price would move in the direction of that imbalance, right? So if more people saw a breakdown coming and less people saw a breakout coming, let's just say we're at a resistance point, that imbalance causes the price to move because of the market participants disagreeing with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like in the old days on the floor, you know, that they would bid and offer. One guy goes into the crowd and he's got 100,000 shares to sell us something. So he's going to go look for buyers. And if he senses there's more buyers than there are sellers, he's going to start trying to raise the price up, right? 20 minutes later, some new sellers could come into the market for no other reason than some money manager somewhere decided to sell the stock. So he called his broker, and now all of a sudden the thing completely reverses. But we never want to forget that this is all just people's opinions and psychology coming together. And we want to pay attention to the important price levels. What's the momentum? A market that's oversold that gets to support tends to bounce. It's pretty simple. A support level is a price level where there's a lot of buy interest. Oversold means that the sellers have really knocked the thing down hard and it's below its typical or normal range. Now, it's like a double whammy because the oversold conditions are going to be drawing buyers into the market. A lot of trading strategies are based on the concept of reversion to the mean. So if something is oversold, people are going to come in anticipating a move higher and their buying could push the price up. And you happen to be at a price level where there's a lot of buy interest. So looking for stocks that are oversold that get to support and then just waiting for them to reverse can be a pretty effective trading idea. Like look at this one right here. We got oversold below the Bollinger Band and bounced. Same thing happened there. So reversion to the mean. Trading strategies are typically based on either breakouts, which is you clear a resistance level, and that shows you that the sellers who created the resistance are gone. So a breakout is based on, a breakout would be a graphical illustration of supply leaving a market if we were able to get above that. The next method that people use would be a reversion to the mean, which is something like this. We go too far in one direction, we go back the other way until we go too far in the other direction. And then there's what we call trend following systems that people use with moving average models and so forth. But anyway, I guess I got time for some
okay, first
requests.
one, MCK, McCormick.
Boy, I'm so glad that this winter is finally over, man.
Tell me about it.
McKesson, you mean?
MCK. Is that McKesson? That was the ticker that was given earlier. I probably got it wrong.
Okay. Well, McKesson looks pretty interesting. So look at what we have.
Oh, I'm Scott. I'm sorry. Marty, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you typed it wrong earlier, though. MKC is McCormick. That's who was asking.
Oh, okay. Well, while we're on MCK, this looks pretty interesting here because oversold at a level that could be support. And then just like we talked about, stocks that are oversold that get to support tend to bounce. Now, if the healthcare sector turns, well, this is going to be a pretty good candidate for a move higher here. We had the fast move down, we're oversold. So what is it, MKC?
Yeah, MKC, McCormick.
Ooh. This doesn't look very good. All right. Now, when I see something like this is where I might want to consider volume. Because if we have a huge spike of volume, that could be a bullish thing. Let's just say that people want to sell this and they're selling and selling and watching it go lower and lower and lower. And finally, they get sick of it and they just throw in the towel and they just tell their broker, just go sell this thing, get rid of it. I don't want to own it anymore. And that can be a bullish thing when the sellers capitulate, because when the dust settles and new buyers come in, they have a hard time finding sellers because the sellers are all washed out.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I do not see that big spike in volume here. So, I mean, it is really oversold.
It does look like the volume might be creeping up there by those volume bars, but to your point, maybe it's not there yet.
Yeah, like the good example of this, or a good example of this, was a few weeks ago with PayPal, where this volume here, or this trading day here, this was the most volume that this stock had ever traded in a day, ever in its history. So that's your seller's capitulation. After the dust settles and people say, well, maybe that news was bad, but the market overreacted. Let's go in and buy some. Well, they come in and they can't find any sellers. So they have no choice but to really aggressively outbid each other, and that pushes the price higher.
You think we get a gap fill there on PayPal, by the way?
Well, it's sitting right here now on this line right here. Yeah, I don't know. It's off my radar screen now. I took the trade down here, I think, and got out of it up around here. But yeah, so people ask me about volume a lot, and I generally don't pay too much attention to it unless we see a situation like that where there's a capitulation. The conventional wisdom is that if something is trending in a certain direction and the volume is increasing, that it will keep on going. But I've seen plenty of situations where the volume is actually going down, where something can be going up. Like if you think about last April, there were massive amounts of volume trading because the market was crashing, or at least the tech stocks were. As the market recovers, well, the volume and the volatility get reduced. So the market was rallying all through the summer on decreasing volume. So that's why I don't really pay too much attention to volume unless it's something unusual happening.
Okay. Can we do Meta? Do you have time for Meta?
Yeah, actually, this one's looking pretty interesting too, because this is also a stock that's at a support level. And I would argue that this is oversold. Now, if we look at this indicator, you would say, gee, Mark, why are you saying that's oversold? It's got to be at 30 to be oversold. Well, the way this RSI indicator works is it measures from time period A to time period B. It doesn't factor in what happened in between. So something could start at 10, go to 1,000, and crash back to 10, 14 time periods later, and the RSI would say it was neutral, even though it was clearly oversold.
Yeah.
So if we go back 14 time periods, it's in the mind of the RSI, the way with the settings that it's on, this thing went like that. It doesn't account for the fact that over the last couple of days, we've been in a real free fall here. So this would be a trade that if we reverse, if this RSI line starts to move higher, that would be a situation where I would think about jumping in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
All right.
Great stuff again. I hope that you can enjoy your weekend. Go UConn. I know you. I want to see you happy. So hope UConn is able to pull something out there. Maybe get some swings in this weekend.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I wish I could just play golf in my backyard for the rest of my life.
Me too. I'd be at your house all the time. I might have to move.
Dude, I'll tell you, man. I go out in my backyard and I could put down a bucket and I could take my 60 degree and I could put the ball in it. You know. Yeah. When I go out on the course, it doesn't work out that
way.
Nope.
That's just how it goes. That is golf summed up really quickly there, Mark.
Exactly.
Thanks very much for everything. We'll catch up with you next week, all right?
Okay. All right, everyone. See you next week.
All right, folks. That is Mark Putrino. He's the best. Just really, really good stuff there consistently. Glad we were able to get those charts in there. Hopefully that was helpful. Good morning to all of the second wave joiners. Jay, it's great to see you here. And everyone else that I might have missed, like Bourne, JD, and Megha, AC, anyone else that I may have missed. All right, folks, I promised you one tweet on Rivian. Let's do that real quick, and then let's check out how 13 is doing. Let's do street tweets. All right, so in the news section, we read a news story that Eric Jackson thinks that the Rivian news that we got is more of a test than anything else. Gary Black says this is not the only reason to own Rivian, but I believe either VOW, one of the big three, or Google or Amazon will ultimately acquire Rivian to expand their presence in both EVs and full autonomy. Market cap is still under 20 billion, and the incremental TAM potential associated with extending the brand into the 50K R2 segment from the 80K R1 segment is huge, in all caps. So this is the first, at least, I mean, unless I'm Roger Clemens style misremembering, this is the first time that I've heard someone make the case that Rivian may actually be a buyout target, and for some other reasons, listing some reasons and why that's the case. So I was actually hoping we'd have our Rivian traders here today. I don't know if Pete's around, but in any case, interesting. We've got it being maybe a test, maybe a possible buyout. You tell me, and we'll get you those poll results on SMCI when they are available. Let me know here on Rivian. All right, folks. Let's break down the movers. It's that time. Pre-market pulse time. Happy Friday 13. Okay, that was my I know.
God,
I know.
that
You
song.
didn't see that coming. You didn't see that coming at all. Now you're upset. Anyway, how are you this morning? Aside from
I'm
that.
actually doing great. Just, everybody keep an eye on Planet Labs. It still looks like it wants to go up. So just go ahead and get that out of the way because I don't want to be
Let's
talking
get it
about
out
these
of the
other
way.
ones.
Let's do it. No, you threw it out there. Let's do it now.
Yeah, so this one had good morning, everybody. This one had an earnings beat and guide higher. Company has lots of cash, very heavy float. It had a price target of 35 to 40 after their earnings. Could potentially see that here as we approach the highs from the after hours yesterday at 34.44. It just looks to me like this is trying to retest those highs and potentially even go past that. With a $35 to $40 price target, I don't think it's unreasonable for this to try and go up and hit that. That's where I just wanted to point this out here because it looks like it's still creeping up towards the highs from the after hours yesterday.
Okay, we'll see if we're able to take out those $34 after hours highs yesterday. Brian's comment here has me chuckling. I think it's got day trader chuckling too. Looks even better in its natural habitat on the back of a tow truck.
Oh, the Rivian cars? Yeah.
It's rather amusing.
If there's going to be a company that's buying them out, my guess would probably be Amazon. But, I can't get behind Rivian. It's just such a big money loser.
Okay. All right. 13. Where do you want to go next?
Stick with the movers list. Next one I have is CODX.
Okay. CODX. Here you go. So this is Co-Diagnostics, and Co-Diagnostics shares are trading higher after the company announced that it signed an agreement for its Indian joint venture with the ASE Group, Kosara Diagnostics, to significantly expand its commercial and distribution territory across South Asia to now include Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. This looks like this is traded up, found some resistance there at 4, although we are trending and holding above not only the 9 EMA, but also the VWAP there. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 0.32% of the float short with 1 day to cover. There is nothing going on here as far as a short squeeze or short interest. On average, the stock trades only 165,000 shares, but today we've traded 26.79 million. Also, float on this one, 1.99 million. Before we dive into this 13, before I have you give your opinion on this, definitely want to shout out our news desk team. We ran an exclusive on this prior to the PR coming out, and it was only a couple of minutes in this case, but had some pretty good action there, and this hasn't given it back yet. So 13, what do you think here on ticker CODX?
Can you stay on that time frame but back it out a little bit more?
Sure.
There we are.
Oh, I think I see what you're seeing.
Yeah, so we're coming up to some of the resistance from the 12th. This was in the after hours where it got up to this level. So that's kind of where the resistance is right now. You can see on the price ladder, 395 has a large seller in the way. I imagine it's going to be that way a little bit higher into the 4s. But if we manage to get past this, this looks like a 410 high, 401. I'm sorry, 401 high. If we can get past that high from the 12th. We may see some, it might be easier for the price to climb higher up into the 5 area because I'm not seeing a whole lot of resistance prior to that. This is following a very, very big pop and drop that happened on the day before, I think. No, this happened
the day before that.
2 days before. It just carried over into the next day. So very big pop and drop in the after hours. That's going to create all the resistance areas that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And it looks to me like if we do get past $4, that the resistance doesn't really start to show up until about 485. And there's some levels we can draw upon in there. But let's see if we can even get past 4 first. And if we do get that, then we'll re-examine CODX, how high that can go. Just keep in mind, this one was very close to being delisted. As of earlier this year, they went through all the steps they had already of avoiding compliance. Avoiding delisting. So they got the compliance. They did a 1-for-30 reverse split at the beginning of the year. They still only have 2 quarters of cash. So I want to keep that in the back of everyone's mind. If you're trading this, this may still have to do some kind of capital raise. That could mean a share dilution or private placement. I don't know, but just keep in mind that they don't have a whole lot of cash left. They're going to have to raise some more.
Okay. Good stuff there. CODX. Next on the list here is MNDR. This is Mobile Health Network. Looks like this is popping as we speak here. Looks like 130 is the resistance on this. Let's check the news and see what's going on here. I got nothing. I got a Form 6, which I haven't gone through. Yesterday, looks like we had some Form 3s here, some changes to beneficial ownership. Let's see if the insiders, no, that tab's not reflecting it. Okay, so this is up 30%, 13. I don't, without more time, I'm not sure exactly why this is up. I don't know if you covered this. Really quick, though, looking at the short interest on this name, 5.52% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. On average, stock trades 705,000 shares. Today, it's done 5.1 million. Float's 3.25 million. 13, do you have anything on this, or are we just looking at the chart?
I think you're right about the Form 6 that came out today. That's likely the reason why it's going here. Just the first paragraph that I'm seeing is it's discussing a memorandum of understanding for an acquisition. I'd have to go through this some more, but I think it's most likely what's in here in this Form 6 that's causing it to move. Fortunately, I didn't cover this one because it just started going. It does have 3.25 million shares in the float. Looks like, hold on a second, I'll have to switch to annual since this looks like it's a foreign company. They'd have some revenue, annual revenue, but they're still not profitable. They're probably going to have to raise some cash at some point. Might be as early as today. That's about as the greatest I can draw from the information I have on their finances. As far as where this goes, because it doesn't look like it's quite finished moving yet. Give me 1 second here. Looks like the 65 EMA is where it's run into right now on the daily chart. That might be it, because this has been a moving average that has provided resistance in the past, as you know, actually in January when they regained NASDAQ compliance, interestingly enough. So if you look at a daily chart and you have the 65 EMA on, you can see in late January on the 21st, that's when they got regained compliance, ran up to the 65 EMA on the daily. Very next day, popped up, tried to get above it again, got rejected, went back down the following day. Could see something very similar happen here today if it can't get past the 65 EMA. I have that at 122. The price is at 122.
Okay. Really good stuff there. We already did Planet Labs. The next one on the movers list here is good old Drama. DRMA. This is, of course, Dermata Therapeutics, but we call it Drama for short because it's no stranger to that. Dermata Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office issued the company a notice of allowance for U.S. patents filed compositions for the treatment of skin conditions. So patent news here. Not my favorite news catalyst for some of these stocks. A lot of the time, some of these smaller stocks bleed it back. Sometimes they go crazy. So worth watching here. We basically popped up into a range this morning. Looks like 160 to 145. We kind of been chopping around, a little bit of pin action in there as well. Quick peek at the short interest on this. 4.4% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. On average, stock trades 2.15 million shares, done 8.42 million here today versus a float of 2.5 million. Are we going to see some drama here today, 13?
Probably. If what is this level? If the 145 area doesn't hold up, then probably. It's looking a little weak right now in the pre-market here. We haven't been able to hold above the VWAP. There's been some price action above it, but no real meaningful and definitive closes. We've got maybe some here and there, but it just ends up giving it back up later. So looking at their cash position, they've got 2 to 3/4 of it on the balance sheet. No revenue. I did see back in January they were filing to sell about 1.5 million of common shares. So they're exploring the possibility. They're exploring raising capital here. I don't know when this is going to happen. Usually when it goes beyond a month, they end up refiling. But that's what I've got for DRMA. I think they're still going to have to raise capital at some point. Don't know when. And it just looks like this is kind of getting weak as we approach to the open. If it does lose this 145 area where it's currently getting support from the after hours yesterday, and then I think that we're going to see the 200 EMA provide support right after that. I just don't know if it's going to hold up. So you have a loss of 145. That's going to take it down to 140. Not a very big drop, but this isn't very much. It isn't very high above $1 anyway. So.
Okay. Good stuff there on DRMA. Not my favorite. We'll see what we end up getting on that. We did. Okay. ARTL looks like this is moving. Yep. Moving right now. We've actually been trading this earlier this week. Looks like this popped above 9 and came back in. It's holding higher by 21%, 22% now. Let's see what's going on here. I got no fresh news since March 18th. So this looks like maybe just a relative volume play or continuation based on what we saw earlier this week. Let's take a peek at the short interest here. 2.86%, 1.53 days to close. Very, very low. On average, it trades 1 million shares. We're almost there today versus a float of 1.8 million. You got any thoughts here on ARTL? This to me looks like it's basically holding the impulse move from Wednesday when we got that news.
So, yeah, and that's on the their expansion into the glaucoma market. That's what that news was, because that was, I guess I don't remember this news. I thought there was another stock that we traded that was involved in glaucoma. This week, I don't remember if this was the one or not. But anyway.
Yes, it was.
It was? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember that too, but I'm pretty certain this was.
Okay, so I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but this is one that doesn't have a whole lot of cash on its balance sheet, no revenue. I don't know if we talked about this potentially needing to raise capital, but it looks like it does, unless there's something that that I said the other day that contradicts that. Maybe it's their earnings. They did well enough to where they didn't need to raise capital. I'm just kind of looking through my notes. Okay. Oh, okay. This is
reverse split.
Yeah, this is the one that had the fully funded glaucoma clinical trial. And I did mention that they do need cash. They have other drugs in their pipeline, but they're mostly preclinical. And yeah, they did do a 3-for-1 reverse split on the 10th of March. So I guess that that really doesn't change a whole lot for me. I think that there's still that risk of capital raise happening with this. And then we're not talking about their glaucoma funded trial, but this is for other stuff that they've got going on. If the company wants to stay afloat, they're going to need cash at some point. So I still think there's a risk of them raising capital. Okay.
All right, really good stuff there. ARTL. Now, the next one here, BIAF. Billy was all over this earlier here today, this morning. This popped in the after hour. This actually moved earlier this week. Again, this one was on Tuesday. We popped in the after hours yesterday. We popped again here in the pre-market. We traded up to about 376 and backed off, but it looks like it's trying to come back on here. As far as fresh news, we got nothing. So once again, this is still moving from the news on the clinical case study highlighting the benefits of adding CyPath lung to a diagnostic pathway for multiple pulmonary nodules. Again, we talked about this on Tuesday. Looks like it's just continuing a little bit there. It's up 21% though. A reminder of the short interest on this one, 5%, 1 day to cover. Not really a whole lot. On average, trade 6.8 mil. It's traded 7 mil here today versus a float of 4.4 mil. So maybe just some continuation here. Maybe there's something on the daily chart. What's the next resistance level here? Probably somewhere around 5.5.
Well, I do have some old levels here, but this was back when it was above 5. Let's see, we're at 360 right now. So, okay, we really haven't recaptured the area that we lost when we had that big drop last in September. So we're coming back up to that resistance now. It looks to me like 375 to 380 is going to be the next resistance area, maybe a little bit higher as we approach 4. But I think the really strong resistance looks like it's higher up around 550, but I don't see a whole lot of levels I can draw upon down here. I do think I like that 375 to 4 area though. That might be some where we get the earliest resistance. So that's what I'd be leaning on. When I look at a 15-minute chart, you can see that we've kind of done this trading where we've spiked up, kind of went sideways and then dropped. But the next time that we come back up, we end up finding support in that and going through the previous highs. We end up finding support in that consolidation from when we first ran up. every time that we've come back up and went sideways, that ends up being a bit of a support area if we break out over it afterwards. And it looks like you've got your a bit of a trend line there.
Just
I like
drew
that. Yep, I like that. I think that's certainly something we're going to want to keep an eye on. Let me drop myself. I've got several other trend lines here, including one that we had previously from, I think, a couple of days ago, and I just extended it. And now it went from being a resistance trend line to a support trend line. So, yeah, I think if we can get over VWAP, we might trade higher beyond 375. But if not, then I think we're coming back in. I think that's what it's looking like right now. We just got to get back and hold above VWAP.
Okay. Really quickly, we're going to do SER here, and then we'll be done with the movers list. But I want to answer Jay's question here. Jay is asking me, Ryan, who are you rooting for in the iced tea challenge today at 1 p.m., Long Island or Arizona? Jay, I got to be honest, I don't have any effing idea what this is or what you're talking about. So I'm just going to give you my immediate knee-jerk reaction to this. I am absolutely going to root for Arizona. I'm not rooting for anything New York these days. And on top of that, back when I was in college, Long Island iced teas used to be a very popular drink.
Oh, yeah.
We've been blacked out a number of times from those. So that is in the past. I'm all Arizona. The 99-cent tea, right? The Arizona tea can. Give me Arizona. That's where you live. That's where a bunch of my buddies live. We're going to vote for Arizona. Now, when I get a chance, I'm going to try and figure out what the hell you're talking about. All right, 13. Let's keep going here, because do you know what the iced tea challenge is?
No.
Okay. Well, I got some homework to do. Now, last one here from the movers list that I wanted to talk about, ticker SER. This is Serena Therapeutics. We mentioned this as a stock in focus here today. Stock popped big yesterday, actually popped first in the after hours the day before, but then actually took that out on multiple legs higher here. This is actually a fairly decent day trader. This popped higher here. And then in the pre-market again today, sure looks like we might take out the intraday highs from yesterday. Got that at about 282, 283. Let's see if there was anything fresh here today. No, there wasn't. So this, again, moving on the $30 million private placement to advance its trial of advanced Parkinson's disease treatment. That was back on Wednesday. It looks like we're just getting some continuation here. A reminder, 2.48% of the float shorted, 1.35 days to cover. This is versus, excuse me, average volume of 4 million shares. We've done 2 of that here today, 5.24 million in the float. All right, 13, what do you got on SER here? And I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. So still that 30 million private placement, and I think that's the whole case here, because this thing was trading underneath that cash. It still has a market cap of 26.75 million, so could still come back up. I think they're trying to match the cash position, because really there's not a whole lot else going on with this company. They've got very little cash otherwise. Like I see that they've got as of the last report, a little more than 8.5 million, no revenue. I'm not even sure what assets they have, but I don't think that's very substantial. Let's look at their balance sheet. Just says total assets 12 million. So current assets, so just about 11.5 million there. So yeah, not a whole lot in assets. They have more cash than they have assets. So I think that's kind of the case here. We're just trying to, I think traders are just trying to pull this up to match the market cap with that private placement. I don't see anything other than that driving it here, other than it's got more cash than its market cap dictates. So that's about all I've got with SER here. Just another one to trade. Now, if this manages to push past the high from yesterday, which was 283, well, let's see where this goes. We have another moving average that we got above where we're at now. We are trading above the 65-day EMA, but if we do come up some more and try to get into the 3 handle, I think that's going to prove to be a little bit difficult, because that's where it looks like some resistance is. Not going to say that it's impossible. It looks like we still could see the other side of 3, but I guess the real big resistance is going to be up towards around 370, where the 200 EMA and some more consolidation from November is.
Okay, really good breakdown there. I see the plot thickens here. Jay says NCAA basketball. That's what the iced tea challenge was. Okay, Jay, then I picked right without even knowing what the hell you were talking about, because in one of my brackets, I have Arizona winning the whole thing. So Arizona still. But nice question there.
Does BIAF have cash? Well, let me look.
Yeah,
this is referring. This is Serena Therapeutics that I'm talking about here. BIF, they
$6 million on the balance sheet as of the last quarter.
They got $6 million on the balance sheet. I'm just looking to see if they've done any other capital raises or anything.
The cash flow negative about $2 million per quarter. So
yeah, that's about all I see for their cash. So they've got some, but it's on a path to being burned.
Okay, there you go. All right, let's go over to the chart tool. We've got 4 minutes, 5 minutes till we open, about 4 minutes for ticker time. Lion is suggesting Summit, which was not on our list here. Lion here was starting with the context, which I always appreciate when you guys throw out tickers. The more context, the better. Lion here saying, don't forget Summit. It's going to report phase 3 cancer trial data in the summer, and it's a very promising company. The other thing about Summit, so I don't follow this, so I'm just going to take your word for it there, Lion. Frankly, do your own due diligence, of course, folks. What I will say that I can confirm is that we've traded this one a lot, and this actually has gone back through the years. Yeah. We've traded this back like a number of years. I really feel like since COVID, this stock has occasionally made some moves here. Now, most recently, September of 2024, we had a super spike, and we had another super spike in April of 2025. That was right around Liberation Day. So we've seen exactly what this stock can do. Lion, what I would say is, or maybe we could look this up. When might those when do those dates fall on? Do we know? When can we plan for that? You seem to think that this is going to report good data and end up going higher here. As far as the chart goes, looks like we're kind of trading sideways. Actually, looks like we're at a previous support area, which may now be resistance. It does look like we are struggling to get above the 50-day moving average. Let me zoom in here so it's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, we're flirting with the 20 and we're struggling to get above the 50. You can actually see what kind of resistance that 50-day has been. So just kind of looking at this, not knowing anything about the pipeline or when the data's due or what might be in that data drop, to me, it sure looks like 16 here is going to be the next spot of consequence for Summit. And you're going to do some digging for the group and share it with us. I know you're driving, so please don't do that while you're driving. Remain safe. But any information you have on this, let us know. We can take a look at it. 13, do you think anything about the chart here? That's stupid. What do you think about the chart here?
Well, I was kind of looking to see if I could get some more information on that that drug announcement, and I'm just trying to understand which one it is. Is this regarding the? I don't think it's the Harmony 3 that you're referring to. I think it might be something else, because I think it's a Lumine. I don't know. You'll have to let me know, because there's several different drugs that they've got going on here. I'm trying to see if I can nail down when we can expect an announcement. But let's look at the chart here and see what we got. Maybe I should just pull it up in my broker. That'd probably be better. Summit Therapeutics having a hard time with the 65-day EMA. That's hasn't been trading above this too much, and when it does, it just gets pulled right back down. Let's look and see what we're doing here in the intraday session. 1565. So we're kind of in some consolidation, but a little bit higher than the price action we've been seeing over the past, I guess, 48 hours. Looks to me like you're going to see some resistance, probably a little bit higher from where we're at right now, maybe 1570. But if it can get past that, it looks to me like there's going to be some real trouble for resistance in the 1580s. This was there's a lot of sideways price action on what was this, the Tuesday. On Tuesday, there was a lot of sideways price action here that kind of created a bit of a barrier, starting from about 1580 going up into the 16s. So that consolidation there, I'd be concerned about. Lots of sellers, I'm assuming, probably want to get out from that area. So if it does get up to the 1580s, I would expect there to be some increased selling, maybe some pressure to the downside.
All right. Good stuff there. Jay, I'm going to read this comment here. I actually haven't seen any podcast or any content with David Prince recently. If you have any recommendations for the group, I would love to. I'd love to hear that. I listened to David Prince last night on this name. Thinks it's overvalued.
Oh,
The
yeah.
company is all about its tech, smart people on the board, likes it in the 20s. It's at the 50s here. This is the post IPO volatility that we have been talking about. David Prince being an angel investor in this. We talked about this yesterday, and look, I had said that this IPO'd at literally the perfect time for this stock to make a move.
Yeah.
Now here you're saying likes it in the 20s. Look for this stock to come back in. It's already down 5% here today.
Oh, and this thing was totally overvalued.
Definitely.
And I have no misgivings about that. This thing should definitely come down. Just given the excitement, and I think the low float was the reason why it was staying up here or even got up here in the first place. It's really a thin name as far as my understanding is.
PL, Mo, you were talking about PL here. Did it go here?
We're right there. We're right at where we need to break out.
Yeah, let me actually refresh this here. It looks like my chart got frozen there for a second.
And Jay, I appreciate that when it comes to GSIT. I was selling into the upside move. I still have some of it, but nowhere near as much as I had before. But I appreciate the concern with that one. I'm going to still deal with that one throughout the year. I think it's going to be okay.
Here's PL.
Yep, this is what we were looking for. So 35 to 40. That's what the price targets were or changed to. So here we go. SCR is also moving. Yep, right on the doorstep of 3.
SPY down to VWAP here. Tick chart trying to go positive. SER breaking out from yesterday's intraday high.
I don't even think I heard the bell on your side.
You were rolling. I wasn't going to stop you. You were absolutely rolling there. Jay, I would appreciate that. Yeah, definitely shoot that over.
CODX.
Planet Labs 36 pop above. Boom. Breakout. Bang.
Initial pop in CODX coming back down towards VWAP. Drama going lower. This thing can't get above its VWAP. Looks like this 200 EMA on the 5 minutes up next. And then, Planet Labs, fantastic 36 print. I still think we could see 40.
Let's take a look at SMCI 13. Did you see the news on SMCI?
No, but if it's down, then I think I know what the situation is. Oh wow, down almost 30%.
Yeah, multiple individuals there caught by the U.S. for smuggling chips into China to avoid export controls. Your face says it all.
It's almost like we've been saying that.
It's almost like we've been saying this thing's a turd for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, can this dead cat bounce? Sure, but just know just like we talked about with the accounting issues, know what it is that you are trading with this.
Yeah, and we're back into a lower channel of consolidation, so we could see support. If we're going to see support, we may see it soon, but I would think that 1750 is going to be the stronger support area.
Wendy's tendies coming in hot this morning. Jensen's best friend is scraping logos off NVIDIA chips. I don't know why that amuses me so much, but we'll take laughter on a Friday. Sure.
SCR hit $3 and backed off.
Oh, this group's awesome. I don't know if I say it enough, honestly.
Trout mentioning SATL.
Satellogic. I think Izzy was asking about this yesterday. Where's Izzy? Izzy, where's the victory lap, bro? What a breakout this was.
And you know what? Space names are looking pretty good today. Spire Global up, that's SPIR, up 8.7%. Fly Aerospace up 11.5%. Hey, look at that. AEOY is up 15.3%. Another one that I've added to my list here today, because it's in this whole space theme. I don't know enough about it yet, but it's ticker YSS. This is up 11.6%. And in VSAT is also up almost 12%. Great day for these space names, folks. Yeah, Billy, I saw we looked at the FedEx earnings yesterday. The really fantastic sales beat and guidance. looks like there's a hint of maybe the economy being a little bit stronger.
And don't forget, as I said at the beginning of the show, a lot of analysts that we've been covering. I know Tim came on here and blasted Jeremy Siegel yesterday, which is totally fine. He's entitled to whatever. But I have been covering multiple analysts that have all been saying the same thing. And now FedEx's earnings are out. Now this is coming back in. So I guess let's see where it settles before we start doing victory laps. But
it had a massive move. I think did we ended up printing all-time highs when we opened? I got the sense that we were getting pretty close in the after hours.
390 was the all-time high. We did not print that.
Okay, because we were getting really close. Yeah, we actually ended
up 390. I'm sorry, in the pre-market, but I think you asked at the open. No, we did not at the open.
Did.
Yeah, okay.
I did because I was noticing that yesterday we were getting up into new all-time high territory. So I was like, well, let's see what happens when we open tomorrow. And then what happened? We absolutely dropped. But I'm that's fine because we're coming down to some support. I would expect there to be some profit taking with a move like this. And the thing that we want to see, in my opinion, is to hold above the 20-day SMA in FDX.
Lion here says, Tim blasts everybody, LOL. Lion is 100% correct on that. And I might add, you should hear what Tim says when I'm on the phone with him. You should hear what Tim says when I'm on the phone with him.
But you're just that way when you're old.
We want that.
You're just that way when you're old, though. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. He would laugh at that. If he were here, he would literally have a smile on his face and laughing. He'd probably have a zinger to come back at you, too, though.
Oh, I'm sure he would. More space names doing great. RDW just hit $10. Having a hard time getting through that. But really nice move out of the gate from 960. We got some of these names we were looking at earlier starting to come back in. SCR after hit 3, lost VWAP and is now coming down to test at 65 EMA. ARTL, this one making another attempt to push higher into beyond the pre-market highs. I think it's going to get it. This is looking like it could go beyond 950 here if we just get enough volume. It's certainly trying to push higher.
He is MU buddy, right? He's my buddy. Yeah, of course. Ryan, I can't find your email. Can you give it to me or DM me? Absolutely. I'll just throw it here in the chat. My email is not something that can't be shared. Boom. There you go. SPY looked like it tried to bounce, but the market said, you didn't say the magic word in Dennis Nedry's voice, so no bounce just yet. We'll see if that changes. MNDR, this is one of our movers from earlier that did actually break higher in the regular session. See if it's got some strength to continue moving above that.
Hold on to your butts.
Oh man, it's have you seen the new commercial where they change it around and like Jeff Goldblum's using Comcast to unlock the different gates? It just, as a Jurassic Park fan, it's amusing to me.
Does he have his shirt open?
He does. Yeah, it's got the same. He's got the same outfit as back in the day. Same with Sam Neill's character, Alan Grant.
Oh, he's so weird. He's a national treasure.
He is absolutely a national treasure.
ARTL.
Emails in the chat, guys.
ARTL pushing up to that 950. The pre-market high is 946. It looks like it wants it. Do we have the volume to get up there? I think 950. If it's not a take profit area, it might be a sellout area.
Planet Labs might be going to a new planet as that continues to trade higher.
Still not higher than the 36.28 that it put in with the last candle, but it is holding above VWAP. So I still think the possibility of 40s is there.
Break of 36 might send it there. We shall see. Want to check silver SLV. We looked at that earlier here with Mark. Let's see what silver's doing. Really nothing here from the open. Down 1.5%, but it looks like it's holding the pre-market low. Not sure there's much to do here yet on silver.
Redwire went through 10. Can it hold? That's a really nice move. And just a really nice move in these space names today. I am just spacing out right now.
I love it. Here's Rocket Lab.
ASTS also up 6%.
ASTS.
I mean, there's hardly one that's having a bad day. HWM is probably the one that's down the most, and that's down 2.5%. Lunar is flying. It's up almost 7%. Yeah, it's a great day for space, and I mentioned, I think I mentioned yesterday or earlier this week about how I think that the way that these drone names were getting a lot of attention, I think the space is going to get some attention put back on it too, because this is a competitive space. No pun intended.
Literally.
With with other countries too, particularly China. So I think this is going to be something that is going to be getting a lot of attention going forward. I'll bring some more information to y'all another time, but this is. And we have the Starship launch coming up in less than a month, is my understanding. I keep hearing about April 8th, but there's nothing been confirmed yet because we haven't done the static fire and don't have the FAA flight license or any of the not Mars and not EMS that would be filed in order to give notice to air missions and mariners.
Okay. Reginald, talking about Tesla, you're scalping. Is this entry for you, Reginald, or you're already doing that? Where's the entry point here on Tesla? I think someone asked earlier how much lower this can go after this recently broke a support. I believe that we had talked about maybe this 350-ish handle, 355 to 360 before. I'm going from memory, so forgive me if I'm misquoting that. But Reginald, I'm curious what your entry trigger is here on Tesla. It does look like it's trying to bottom out and bounce there. Oxy 60 calls, 1.33 million spent there. On Oxy, those expire June. 2,500 calls swept up there. Huge.
Replay Game Lab. I don't know that GEMI is even a space play. I know that it says space station on it, but this looks like it's a crypto platform. I don't see anything about this having anything to do with aerospace. It's a capital market.
Unlocking the next era of financial, creative, and personal freedom.
Yeah, this isn't a space
crypto. Stock. Yeah, that's a crypto name.
And then Jay, yeah, I mentioned YSS earlier. I just added it to my space list because I too didn't know the name. So I'm going to do some work on it, see what I can find. But kind of interesting that it's moving today. So I added it to my list. And then Astro Kevy is saying, why isn't Redwire a $28 plus stock? You know, I think it has a lot to do with its finances. Let me pull those up. But this is a company that I think is going to be very important in the whole aerospace theme. I mean, one of the things I was just talking about earlier this week is how they have 3D printers on the ISS that they're testing to print not just different manufacturing materials, but biomaterials as well. So finances, yeah, this company loses quite a bit of money. So I think it's really just comes down to their finances, but they are one of those picks and shovels company that's going to be very important. Does have revenue. It's just, like I said, their operating loss is really what's kind of pulling them down right now. So eventually I think this will be good, but it's got to turn this their income around. They got to start pulling a profit. I think eventually that'll happen with how many contracts and how much work they're going to be getting. And this is also one of those Golden Dome names as well. So I think eventually we'll see this where it should be. But for now, because of the way it goes through cash, probably just keeping it suppressed down here. Levels for SATL, I'll take a look.
Uber put sweep, 60 puts that expire. Ooh, let me check that out. Let me actually get that there for you. That one was kind of interesting here. Sorry, 13. Just give me one sec. Uber, the 60 puts that expire May 15th. They bought 10,000 of them. Traders spent 1.07 million on that.
It's interesting about Satellogic. They're trying to push through a lot of consolidation from 2025 right now. And I don't think that really ends until you get to $5. So I would say that if this is going to continue higher, the next area of resistance that I see that might provide some trouble is going to be about 420. 420 and 450 stand out to me on a daily chart. That's what I would think is next. Okay. It's nice to see that we've recaptured the 50-day SMA following a golden cross. So we're going to want to see the price certainly hold above that. I don't want to see the price come back in and start trading underneath that, because I think that wouldn't be great. I think it'd be a little bit more to the downside if we got that. So let's hold above the 50-day SMA that we moved over it.
Okay. Chat years Dream Chaser here saying SMCI is reversing. I'm going to stay away from this one. It did recapture its VWAP. Yeah, it did just recapture its VWAP there. Maybe it bounces a little bit, but as I've been saying all morning, just know what you're trading on this one.
Yeah, sure, trade it, but I don't think it's worth owning right now.
And I think today is a triple witching day, Tom. I may be wrong
Yeah.
about that, but I think it's triple, not quad.
Yeah,
Spy's trying to bounce. Market is trying to bounce here. Tech's trying to go with it.
I don't know the answer to that, JD. I know that there's one company out there that, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was VSAT. But there's a company that was getting a lot of attention last year because there was a bit of a bidding war over frequency ranges. I don't remember if that was Satellogic or VSAT or what, but let me look into that real quick here.
Yeah, Trey, that, and I was very careful to mention that. Trey's absolutely right here with his comment. I agree with you guys, but the article also specifically states that the company was not named. You're 100% correct. And again, I was very, very specific with that. It is individuals at the company. And furthermore, Trey, the company is attempting to distance itself from those individuals. So it's, again, this is why we have a market. Take it with a grain of salt. But what's going to end up happening if they do find these individuals did all of this? What's going to actually happen to the company? Meanwhile, we also talked about this. A sympathy play for this. Dell is moving in the opposite direction from SMCI. So SMCI's pain may very well be Dell's gain.
That was EchoStar that I was thinking of. SATS. That's only up 2%, so that's not the one. It's not that. So, but that was the one that had the frequencies that SpaceX and some of those other telecoms were entering a bidding war over. Actually, up quite a bit. Have some CPX. There was something else I was going to say, and I don't remember what it was now. Dell. Dell, not just great for the SMCI woes, but also because that is a major partner with the NVIDIA initiative to develop 6G technologies. So I think that's going to be great for that company. Dell's, let me pull up the list of names that I have for that. I don't think I've created a watch list, but I need to. But I did post all those names at one point.
And really quick, while you're looking that up, that SPY bounce there very quickly sold into. So early indications here is that they're selling bounces. How long is that going to last? We'll have to wait and see. First bounce here, first legitimate bounce attempt sold into. We're almost right back down there.
I did create a watch list. Here you go, folks.
And Lion, I know you've said this a few times here. Really, the only way for a significant, maybe I guess you're saying longer term bounce here on SMCI is new management. If you recall, this is one of the things that we had said when we initially got some of those accounting problems, or when we had heard about some of those accounting problems with SMCI. So I'm in complete agreement with you there, Lion. In the meantime, again, though, this is just not something that I'm really interested in.
So there's
go for the list. Yep.
That's the list of all the 6G NVIDIA partners. And some of those you'll probably recognize right away. All right, let's see. What do we have as far as movers go? So Planet Labs still struggling to get back up and hold or get back above 36. Starting to see a series of upper shadows here. It's a bit concerning. If we can't hold above or get back above 35.50 pretty soon here, I think we're losing VWAP. MNDR, that put in a session high of 138 about 5 minutes ago. We're still above VWAP, but I see a large seller underway at 135. So be careful there. Starting to look like volumes waning in this one. ARTL also new highs, 980, also above VWAP. Looks very similar to the price action with MNDR. BIAF, this is now trading beneath VWAP. I think the next support is going to be the 65 EMA on the 5 minute.
And then Ondas, sorry, I know Ondas trading down here 4%. They had news here this morning about their Q4 preliminary revenue range of 29.1 to 30.1 and the full year revenue range of 49.7 to 50.7 million, reaffirmed their revenue range of 170. That's the 26 revenue range of 170 to 180 million. Remember, they report earnings here 5 days from today. This is going to be Wednesday before the market opens.
And Summit is ripping.
SMMT, that was Lions.
Slowly, but it's keeps putting in higher prints. We've gone from let's see, we opened around 1560 and now we're at 1618. I'm sorry, 1618. So very slow moves up. And there we go. We've lost the view up with ARTL, MNDR happening right now. These things are looking exactly the same. It's kind of silly. They're just both losing their view ups at the same time after, printing a new session high and then struggling to hold above it. So funny.
Here's MNDR pulling right back. Buy bounce, not confirming yet, battling with its VWAP, ticks still negative. What did you have, 13? Sorry,
I was just reading what JD was saying. He mentioned something earlier about. I'm just going to scroll back and see what he had. Owns Saddle. Okay, so yeah, he was just telling me who has ties to the Trump administration through SATL, and he's saying the primary ties are through Howard Lutnick and Steve Mnuchin.
Okay.
Thanks for that information.
There you go.
CUR, good move. You cur. Yeah, really nice move. This thing putting it in 40 cents from the open, it looks like. Let's see where this goes.
CUR?
CUR. Well, actually, I'm sorry. CURV is what I've got. Is that what you meant? Because that's.
I don't see a ticker for CUR, but CURV does have a good move here. So I think Big Hurt might have messed it up.
Big Hurt, if you're referring to CURV, thanks. It's moving right now. It looks like it wants 2.
He was, in fact, doing that. Retro here saying COP just keeps climbing. Got to shout out Lion on this one because I know, Lion, you also took a longer term position here on COP. We were trading this when it was about $99. Ended up exiting around 110 because, again, the calls had a February expiry. If you had stayed in this longer, your thesis on this absolutely played out. This continued to march higher here. Sure looks like 130 coming next, too. So congrats to anyone in COP.
When we were trading earlier this week, OVID.
Ovid, yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was on the scanner earlier.
Yep, that's having a pretty good day. It's only up 23 cents, but the moves are pretty fantastic for the size of the stock.
Glenn here saying Onda's 4-hour close below 1018 sends it to the 0.618 level, which is 966 because it loves its fibs. So Ondas here 922. We'll see if we do get that 4-hour close. When does that candle close, Glenn?
You know what's interesting? 966. Ooh, hopefully that doesn't go down there. If it does go down there, I hope it bounces. We're still straddling the bottom of the parallel channel that we drew with this. We're still in it, but we keep straddling the bottom here. And if we go down to that price of 966, we're briefly jumping out of the channel. So I would want to see it pull itself back up to at least, I would say maybe 990, 995 if it does get that test down around 966. Just don't want to see it fall out of this parallel channel. That's all.
And that candle closes in 2 hours and 7 minutes. Thank you, Glenn. Mag 7 still weak. The memory names, the opposite of that. Those are all higher. Captain Cloudy says he's buying some 0 DTE SPY calls. Okay, I've been watching the SPY 1-minute chart here. I do not have an entry signal on that. I'd be curious to know, what are you looking for here and what contract, meaning what strike are you actually buying here today? I was looking at the 658 strike earlier, but never got a buy signal on it, even on that bounce. Actually, I did get a kind of a late buy signal there and very quickly met with a stop signal. So,
BIF just lost the 65 EMA. ARTL, and it looks like ARTL were trying to recapture the VWAP. MNDR now doing the opposite. So finally some divergence. One from yesterday, Duluth, which was a great trader yesterday. This trying to push to the pre-market highs of 329. Doesn't have the same kind of volume as yesterday, so I don't know where this is going to go or if it's going to be able to get above there, but had a really good day yesterday.
Okay. So it sure looks like 325, your spot there on Duluth. Captain Cloudy, thank you. The 657 call. And that was, what's interesting about that is that we actually tested 657 in that pre-market. So that makes sense for an area that we would get back to. Now, the other thing here on SPY, Captain Cloudy, that I'm kind of waiting out to see if we get, I don't know if this is going to happen. Do we retest this area down here, 653? That's the pre-market low that we've already been down to. Momentum is currently bringing us down here. If we test this, do we hold this or do we break this? Looks like 1 minute SPY trying to bounce here.
Yeah, and Big Hurt, that was a great mention about CURV, even if you forgot the V. Still a great mention. Now have a high of 190. Yeah. This is a good one. Good mention. But we are getting some weakness in some of these crypto names as Bitcoin straddles along the $70,000 price right now. Looks like it's trying to get support down in this area. Let's see, yesterday we went down to just briefly underneath 69,000 recaptured. So now it's trying to hold above the 50 and 20-day SMAs.
Tesla here trying to, I tried to bounce earlier, rolled over and ended up going lower. Reginald, I know you were talking about buying this one earlier. Again, what's the trigger on this? Where's the next level that Tesla may bounce from?
Reginald, I think you're right about that. I think it's just a matter of time. There's still a lot of like JPM and some other big institutional banks are still expecting and sticking to their price targets of, I think, 6,000 to 6,500 in gold by the end of the year. So with that, I think that's also going to see a lift in silver as it tends to follow gold thereafter. So I think you're right that silver is going to bounce along with gold and probably even a lot of other metals.
Alpha Trade, repeating what Jay has been saying for weeks now since the conflict started, the market moves opposite direction to oil. Oil's up 0.25% here today. S&P down 0.6% here. So S&P selling off more so than oil trading up. Lion's giving a target of 6,000 on the S&P cash by the year end. I'm not there with you on that one, Lion. Not yet.
I'm still looking for SPY. And, we had a conversation about this too, that started to get some alignment with some of the more seasoned, higher educated gentlemen. Looking like we're kind of targeting around the low 600s, probably even 600 itself. I would represent a 10 to 14% correction. I think that'd be fantastic.
Oh, 6,000 gold. I'm sorry. You just said 6,000 while we were talking about the SPY. So come on now. Come on now.
If SPY goes to 6,000 by the year end, everybody should be backing up the truck.
I would agree with that. But fair is fair. I made a mistake and I'm correcting it. By the way, Tesla, I know we were just taking a look at that. That continues its move to the downside. And as you might have noticed, we're actually seeing some increased downside call sweeps here. Now, some of it is being met with our downside put sweeps. I beg your pardon. Some of it is being met with calls, but predominantly Tesla options trading to the downside here.
I know we already talked about this and that it's super overvalued, but Swarmer, it put in $55 earlier today. We just got support from VWAP. I think it's trying to make another attempt for 55. I'm not in this one.
Neither am I. Yeah.
I already had fun with this one. It was, pretty good couple of trades I had, but not going to touch this right now. And the thing is that it could still push higher, beyond the $65 high that we saw on the 18th. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I'm not taking the possibility off the table. Very, very thin name. Lots of excitement around drones. People want to have something to trade. They're going to come after stuff like this.
All right, SPY continuing to move towards the after hours or overnight lows. I'm just going to watch this right here. Looks like it's breaking it. Yep, we did just break it there. 653 is that spot.
So those of you trading Tesla or, picking up a position for the long term, how do you like 360? Does it spin you right round, baby? 360 is a level that I've had marked off here as support and resistance. This was actually the last area where we broke out into the, all this consolidation that we've been in since September. Look at the September breakout over 360. Haven't touched that level since, and now we're coming down to it. I think that's support. It would also help with the death cross, which is, looks like it's coming. Maybe not this month, probably, but sometime in the beginning of next month for Tesla. But I think 360, that's going to be a spot where we're going to find some support. Whether we reverse or not, can't say. But I think that's where the price is headed.
And maybe 320 after that if it can't hold. CW Parker, I would amplify this. Is anybody buying the dip on Netflix? Netflix continuing to move lower here, back down to 90. What's interesting about this is that the thesis was as soon as that deal was done, even if they left, it would go back to 100. We quoted a lot of Gary Black on that. It did exactly that and rolled over. So I guess the new question here is, where does this thing end up finding any type of support? May 86, 87? Izzy, are you still out there? Are you still looking at Netflix?
I've got an unpopular opinion.
Give it out.
I think it goes to 70. I think it could potentially fall lower, but I think that 70 is where this is gonna go to. And the reason for that, I think the Warner Brothers deal is something they probably should have shelled the money out for. They've got a content issue. Netflix doesn't see. I think at this point, the way that you see Netflix operating is that they're licensing and basically buying movies from these studios.
Right.
And they're really not coming up with a whole lot of stuff themselves. And that's, to me, represents a bit of an uphill battle because there's not a whole lot that folks are looking forward to, especially older folks with all the nostalgia, because Netflix doesn't have a whole lot of old, classic, films and shows like some of these other streaming platforms have. And with the combination of Paramount, Skydance, and Warner Brothers, that's a whole huge library of stuff that they can IP that they can use. I think this is going to be a much bigger and better year for film in movies because last year was a pretty bad year. I mean, we were talking.
The bar, you're saying that because the bar is low, it's easier to jump over this year?
The bar was super low, set super low because of how bad last year was. I keep seeing comparisons to of this year going to be something to the effect of how we had that big multi-billion-dollar box office run from 2015 to 2019. I keep hearing a lot about that. There's a lot of movies coming out this year that are being looked forward to. I know we just talked about Project Hail Mary and how great that's been, getting a lot of hype with that.
The Michael Jackson movie.
And that comes out, actually, that's full release today. Michael Jackson movie. You also have a lot of sequels, a lot of adaptations. You got the Dune 3 sequel. You have the Mario movies. You have I'm not too excited about it, but Mandalorian and Grogu. There's all kinds of movies coming out this year, and I think you're going to see a much bigger box office draw in 2026 comparatively to 2025 because the bar was set so low. But Netflix is not going to be able to participate in that as much because there's not a whole lot that folks are looking forward to with Netflix. I think folks are looking more forward to all the Avengers Doomsday, and there's the more nostalgic folks. There we have Practical Magic 2 coming out. I mean, it's going to be a year of nostalgia, I think, and because the bar is set so low, I think movies are going to do better this year.
Kinky Streets, just an absolute banger of a YouTube handle. I disagree. And first of all, disagreements are great for trading thesis here, and I really appreciate you being respectful. WBD, Warner Brothers, has little, financially poorly run. Same with Paramount. Look at how Paramount collapsed. Kinky Streets goes on to say there's too many bad movies made, all that money thrown away. That's exactly the camp that I am in. Totally tired of dystopian movies.
Well,
reach, brother. Reach, sister.
So Warner Brothers doesn't have little IP. They have a lot of it. That I don't disagree with the assessment financially. Both Paramount and Warner Brothers, it's kind of been a head scratcher for me about how they're going to, how well they're going to do with this combination, because they're both, pretty heavily in debt. But it's all about the IP, and Netflix, they're more of an uphill battle with their IP because it's not widely recognized. They don't have really a whole lot that people go, oh yeah, that's one of the greatest Netflix things ever. K-pop Demon Hunters, they didn't make that, they bought that. That was something that I think Sony made. But the problem with the film over the past several years has been that there's been this gearing towards modern audiences, which hasn't really done very well with more of the legacy audience that wants to see some of these beloved characters not fall into the woke crowd. So I think that when it comes to Netflix, eventually it'll probably be good, but the lack of content is an uphill. It's going to be an uphill battle for them. Great that they have a lot of cash. It's you can't buy people's like for something. They have to do that on their own.
Real quick here, a lot of stuff to clean up. I love this discussion and I love the back and forth opinions. Lion here saying, guys, Netflix is a powerhouse. It's going nowhere. Buy it and forget about it. It might take a few months. Dollar cost average. I can see Lion right now pounding his center console in his car as he drives down the road. Kinky Streets goes on to say, I never sub to streaming annually. Not worth it. Me too. I only sub for the football games. And then let's see what else was there. Spy is trying to bounce. You're right there, Trout Bum. Good job staying on top of it. Jay says, I still watch Married with Children, lol.
It's a stronger household than a lot today.
Gluten saying the price of gas to drive to the movies is a headwind for box offices this summer. Let's see how that actually pans out. I'm a little bit skeptical on that. And maybe it's just because of my own bias, because where I live, even with some of the movie theaters being closed, they're not very far. I wouldn't, the price of gas, even if it was, California, absurd prices, I don't think that I would not do that because of it. But I understand the point that you're making there. And then also, Moses asked for thoughts on Neo getting pounded today. Remember, at the beginning of the show, during the news segment, I covered Xpeng and they saying that the Chinese EV demand is cooling fast. So I'm not surprised to see Neo moving down. I threw that article in the chat as well.
Is he still around here?
My local movie theater turned into a Planet Fitness.
So Curve might be getting support down around 165. If it does, then it may end up recapturing VWAP. This kind of looks like it's putting in a bit of a bullish formation. So we'll see if this resolves higher. Needs to recapture 175.
NI Nightcrawler. Okay. Netflix has the worst horror selection in history of streaming. Okay, but do they have Pretty Woman? Okay, nobody got that one. I will show myself out.
Yeah, Netflix will be
Anna.
It'll be good later.
Anna ticker being mentioned here. So this ripping back to the pre-market highs. Remember, 5 was the resistance on this one. This is actually a pretty good reversal here. Full dollar on this reversal if it prints 5. That SPY bounce very quickly sold into. So we're still seeing the same pattern here. Both bounces sold into.
So in March, Anna did breach the 200-day SMA, but came right back beneath it. Going to want to see it close above it this time. And it looks like if we do close above that and we get multiple closes above it, $6 looks like to be a pretty, maybe $5.85 to $6 looks to be a pretty big resistance area. What?
I have to confirm that. I'm sorry for swearing. Chuck Norris passed away.
I heard about him being hospitalized in Hawaii yesterday. I was hoping that wouldn't. I
was hoping we were going to get news that the hospital collapsed while trying to house him there. But I mean, man, that's an absolute legend. R.I.P.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about him gone, but God must be shitting his pants right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that is.
You know what? I'm glad we can immortalize his legacy with these memes, though. because they are
Yeah.
great.
I mean, look, I actually think, I mean, ultimately, you know, whether or not you thought Walker Texas Ranger was good or not, I think the memes really kind of are bigger than him now, and I think that that's like I don't know. To me, like that is like a huge thing. Like if something that you have done, even if it led to memes that make people laugh, if that lives past your life, like you've done something. Like that's something to be proud of. It really sad. Really sad. I'm sorry for sharing that news here. I'm not trying to bring the mood down, but I did just see that cross the wire.
Yeah, he did push downs, right, Hippo? Yeah, exactly. Oh man, this is gonna be it'd be fun to remember him. I think it might be a Delta Force kind of night.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
Keep an eye on curve. It is trying to bounce and move back up towards VWAP. We need to see more volume though. Oh, this is gonna be so much fun. All right, we got 21 minutes. Let's hear the best Chuck Norris joke.
I mean, look, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Oh, this is great.
Chuck Norris is the only guy I know that can wheelie a unicycle.
That's
Not bad.
awesome.
Haven't heard that one before. Chuck Norris once visited the Virgin Islands. After that, they were called the Islands. So I know I normally kind of throw up some dad joke at the end of the stream on Friday. Let's instead honor the great Chuck Norris with your best Chuck Norris jokes throughout the remainder of the stream here.
I like it.
I'm okay. Producer, are you okay with that?
Don't look now, but Swarmer is touching the session high of 55 right now.
So what is this? Just how many more moves higher do we think this has?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. This is breaking a trend, but there is some resistance up, in the high 50s, also around 60s. So, and then of course the high from the 18th is 65. Like I said, this could still move higher. It's volatile. It's got a very low float. It can get pushed around. Just understand what you're trading and how big the spread is. I mean, right now it's like 20 cents, but I think a second ago it was like over $1. So just be careful with this when you're trading it.
Real quick here for Swarmer, I've basically derived a trend line from some of the recent highs. I would absolutely treat this as resistance, but again, full disclosure, not in this. Jay Breed, I'm sorry for your loss, my man. Let us know if our group can somehow help you through that. I think we're all experienced with dealing with loss in one way or another. Why doesn't Chuck Norris wear a watch? Because he decides what time it is. Okay.
So funny. Oh man.
Goal and for everyone out there, the goal here is to kind of lighten the mood and celebrate the great life, not to poke fun, just in case we're not being clear about that.
Oh. Yeah, he does.
Chuck Norris makes onions cry. Get it? That's so good. That's so good. All right. Okay, interesting. We had talked earlier about Dell being a possible sympathy play for SMCI. Dell traded higher in the pre-market, higher out of the open. It's since given back that opening move, but it's come back down to the 65 EMA and held there at 162.31. I am seeing some call flow into this. These calls are for April. So we're looking at basically just a month, just shy of 30 days till expiry. And I'm seeing multiple repeat sweeps there. So it does look like in the near term, traders are buying Dell to the upside.
When I look at a monthly chart for Dell, I get the sense that 175 is going to feature a breakout. If you look at a monthly chart.
Yeah, these are so good. I can't even. Here's what you got for the Dell breakout, 13.
Yeah, 175 looks like a potential breakout spot. Been getting resistance up in the 170s, maybe just shy of 170. But the high that we put in back from May of 2024 is 179.70. That was a brief move over 175. I'm looking at 170 and 175 as a breakout area.
Yeah, That tracks for me here. Market, by the way, all of those bounces so far have been sold into. Market new lows here, 651. We'll say it's 650 provides any type of bounce for it. And then remember, I think we also said 628 represents the about 10% pullback level. Jay, I like this too. I'll tell you why. This is regarding Swarmer here. The market for drone players is small. It's sort of like the nuke names. The big player is AVAV, but I'm hearing that the Department of Defense also wants smaller players. Jay, I can confirm that. I'm hearing that too, especially from some of my connections that I asked. And the market is tiny, so some of these tinier players end up having really big outsized moves. Now, tack onto that the David Prince name, just because he's well known, probably helping it. The question really is how long can that be helped? Chuck Norris can delete the recycle bin. Chuck Norris can win a game of Connect 4 in 3 moves. That's impressive. That is impressive. Marionette from the top rope. I love it.
I'm trying to think of what the other drone name I saw was. We talked about it recently. It's not Swarmer. It was another one that was up and coming. I started
so
to look at it.
It wasn't the trio of small ones, Ondas, Arcat, UMAC, and it wasn't Swarmer.
No.
Was it Dragonfly?
No. We just started talking about it like earlier this week.
Was it Mob X or whatever that?
No.
Okay.
No. It's probably in happy hour chat. I'll figure it out. But
D Pro?
No, it was a very small name, and it was okay. I'm trying to recall what this was going on because we had just talked about how the Pentagon wanted to mass produce one-time use a lot of one-time use drones. And there was one company that absolutely fit that bill so well. And it's one that we hadn't looked at before. I'm trying to think of what it was. Xena.
Bob getting it done.
That's what it was. Why is my chat not scrolling automatically? Come on. Yes, Xena. That's the one. Okay, so what's going on with this? Because I looked into this. They have this. So Xena drone is a subsidiary of Xenatech, which is what this company is. They have the Interceptor P1, which is a single-use autonomous interceptor drone, and they're trying to sell them for less than $5,000. I think when it comes to what the Pentagon's looking for, this actually fits because they said that they want to mass produce kamikaze attack drones used to strike Iran. They've gone through some of those types of drones already, but I think there were maybe less than 100 that were used because they were kind of still testing it. And I believe those drone systems were going for between $35,000 to $55,000 each. And this is a major price cut for them. So for the Pentagon. So I think that's why this company is getting a lot of attention. Now, one thing about this is that they don't have the facilities for mass producing this yet. And the company needs money in order to start to get this off the ground. But I was starting to look at also the potential 3D printers that are going to be used to manufacture this at scale, because that's what this Interceptor P1 is made from, is 3D printed parts. Though 3D is one such company that has the 3D printing capabilities to mass produce components for this company. So Velo could also be an interesting play here. But Xena, this is what the Pentagon's looking for here. They are demonstrating the P1 for the Pentagon now, but there's no contracts that they've got yet. So I think we're gonna, if the Pentagon likes what they see, we should be seeing some kind of announcement of a contract. I would think at some point soon, and that's probably going to be the next big driver of the stock for Xena.
Okay. Thank you, 13. Thank you for looking that up and doing the legwork on it too. Neo, by the way, I know we got asked about this earlier. Next leg down. XPeng, let's check in on that. This was one of the drivers for that. XPeng is trying to bounce, but this is actually lower from the pre-market area that was providing some bit of support. So that's been kicked away.
All right. Just looking around. around for anything that looks like it's got some strength. Planet Labs still trying to recapture VWAP. When I was just looking at here a second ago, that was Swarmer trying to break into the 55 handle. I'm still having trouble getting into that. Yeah, I don't know, Paz. Is it a Canadian company? I mean, yeah, it looks like it is. Vancouver. It's the Pentagon's looking at them, so we'll see.
COD X. This is kind of disappointing. This lost its VWAP. Hasn't really done much of anything.
Yeah, Venture Global.
We've looked at that. We've looked at that a few times. I don't hold it. I don't own this though, but we've looked at that a few times.
Yeah, I'd say I'm somewhat familiar with it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but we've traded this before. Yeah, just a Friday selling off pattern. Yeah, I know. And we kind of alluded to how we could see weakness in the market with how March Madness is going on, and just on the heels of the FOMC decision. We got great volume yesterday, but it wasn't enough to recapture the 200-day SMA on the SPY. Take care, Big Hurt. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday. All right. Looks like some of these names are trying to find their footing. DRMA getting some support after recapturing the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Coming back up towards the 65 EMA. Planet Labs look like this is back over the VWAP. Can it hold? Volume is not as robust as it was earlier this morning. What else? Looks like a lot of sideways price action in some of the other names we've been trading. And, I don't have a problem with that. A lot of action happening in the morning, and might just be a sit on your hands or have a good weekend kind of day now. Lone Wolf McQuaid, free on YouTube. All right. Optical name selling off hard. I don't know that those are going to be finished. I mean, they've probably been this really extended, and now it's a bunch of profit taking. Taking risk off the table probably.
Sorry, 13. I'm handling something here for work, real quick.
No problem. Oh, Ryan, you're still there? Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Wow, that's
I'm just messing with you.
that is a big time flap.
Planet Labs still getting a little bit of a lift here, but got to see more volume. 36.28, still the high. That's what we printed as soon as we in the first moments of the opening. Looks like the Luth slightly went a little bit higher than the pre-market, 334 now the high. Large seller in a way at 335. Yeah, lots of rebalancing. That's kind of what it seems like, Sel. Seems like we're like, okay, well, all the fun's been had here. All these big names that have gone on a run, they're pretty extended. Let's take our money out of that. Find the next thing that's gonna go. Curve now. This is coming back in. Lost the VWAP. Losing multiple EMAs now. Looks like SER about to lose a 65 EMA. Looks like it's going to be a little weak here in the morning. I don't know what we're going to get out of the afternoon, but a little bit weak here in the morning after we had that pop. Mark told you 650 today. Oh, and SPY. It was funny yesterday. I just some weird fun with numerology. Yesterday was the 220th day since in the SPY since we had recaptured the 200-day SMA, and I thought, what does that a 220-day moving average look like? Well, interestingly enough, that's it represents a line that once we got over it, that was the start of this 220-day run that we had, and then now yesterday was the 220th day. Now here we are with the 221st day, but beneath the 220 day moving average. Funny how that works. Now, I don't think the 220 is at all a reliable moving average like the 200 is, but just some fun with numbers. And it looks like
looks like Anna continues to go higher here.
Oh man.
It does look like the SPY selling is slowing down. It actually looks like it's trying to bottom here at 651. Not saying that that's necessarily going to hold today, but the action here kind of saying that it might be bottoming. Tick also trying to finally move to the positive again.
So there's a breakout there. It's doing some measurements here with Anna. So if you take the wicks from like the after hours and the pre-market, that was a breakout spot that we just took out. Now, I don't know if what I'm looking at next is going to work. But I also have a trend line here that I took from the 2 after hours highs. That would be the high at 468 and the high at 497. Just drew a trend line with that, and that's going to give us a kind of a wild target of about 725. I don't know that the price is getting up there, but just something to,
So
to watch for.
These were the 2 from the after hours?
Huh?
These are the 2 from the after hours?
Yeah. So you really drew it through the second one. There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it needs to get steep there. It is kind of a crazy target, but maybe.
And then the other one that we just broke through, that's the one that I drew from the after hours high and the pre-market high. So that's more of an acute trend line here. But you can see how we just in the past 10 minutes broke above it, use it as support. And that's what I'm going to be looking at here to see if we can even get to that 725 target, is if this trend line that we have here that we drew from the highs in the after hours and the pre-market provides support. Take care, Born, or B2B.
Have a good weekend, Born.
Yeah, so things coming back in. Not much to add. Is there something that folks want to look at? Netflix back to VWAP. Look at intraday chart. FLX. Looks like it's trading over. I mean, you might have a different VWAP number than I do. It's trading over my VWAP right now, running into some resistance.
Well, this is Curve?
No, this is a Netflix.
NFLX, got it.
Yeah. Looks like this is running into resistance around the 65 EMA. It's been a bit of a tough spot pretty much all morning. Not very many closes above the 65 EMA. And even when we did get them, it was not up there for too long.
Lion, au revoir. Have a great weekend.
Take care, Lion. Nothing's looking too great right now. Looks like everybody's thinking about what they want to do or making plans for the weekend, or who knows what they're doing. SQQQ, we managed to get over 78. That's been a bit of a resistance area over the past couple of days. Now we're above it.
We have a TQQQ trade setting up because the SPY, okay, so again, I had just told you the SPY sell-off is slowing down. It looking like it's trying to curl here. I don't know if anyone feels great about it, but it's looking like it's trying.
So let's see, 43.
Au revoir, mon ami. There, that's right. You're actually French, right? So you can actually speak it. I'm just pretending.
TQQQ, but was resistance in the SQQQ is going to be support and vice versa for the TQQQ. Looks to me like if this tries to come back up, you're going to find some resistance around 44.25 to 44.35.
Baba Pizza. I have 400 shares of SMCI at 60 average cost. I am sorry, brother. Should I liquidate half or stay put? Bro, we cannot advise what you do with your investments. Neither of us are licensed for that. We talk about what we see, what we're doing, and what we think here, but we cannot provide you any type of financial advice. We never can on this show. What I would say, given the severity of the issue, I would say it might be time to look into a financial advisor whom is licensed and can help you make some of those decisions. That would be the only advice I can give you here today. I'm sorry if that's not what you were looking for.
We just can't we can't be given advice. We're not, like I said, we're not licensed. We
Not
can't do
licensed. That's it. Just it is what it is.
We'd love to help you, but we don't want to get in trouble.
Yep. Well, I mean, like my big thing is like I definitely want everyone to take a hold of their own financial future. I've often said nobody cares about your money more than you, but at the same time, adding the knowledge and wisdom of a financial advisor can really help you take those steps. So I don't want to say, yeah, it looks like garbage, sell it here, and then have it bounce back because the company comes to defense 2 weeks later. Then you're staring at me like, what is this? But
Summit just blasted off 1627 new session high. Meanwhile, CODX just lost a 65 EMA and it is plummeting.
Summit, this is actually this is interesting. This is not even really heavy volume.
No,
honestly. Still kind of an interesting move there.
Anna's still climbing. It's going to be silly if I get that target of 725. But it's still holding up. 585 now the high. Yeah, I see that, Bob. That's fantastic. You're a dining out advisor?
Yeah, he's joking here because he's advising that everyone go to Chipotle.
Oh,
he's
gotcha.
also long
Okay.
Chipotle.
Gotcha. Okay.
Full disclosure.
I for a second I took it as he's taking his advisor out to dinner, and I was like, that's a pretty cool relationship.
Selena, I appreciate this. Good advice, Ryan. I'm asked for money advice all the time. Crossed the border and I'm no longer licensed. Will not do it. Look, I want everyone's financial future to be better. And if I give unlicensed advice that hurts people, then I'm doing exactly the opposite of what I hoped and set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Reginald, you're right. You guys have great opinions. A person is not, a person is free to use their opinions and it's not financial advice. But he's asking a very serious question here. And I don't want to take that lightly. And I don't want, some of the normal discussion or the normal thoughts that we have here to then be construed as financial advice. I'm trying to be even more sensitive to his specific position right now.
And he specifically asked for advice. We can't do that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Yeah. To his credit, though, he understands and he was very polite about it. So not a problem. Not a problem.
Well, am I going on a little bit longer here or?
Yeah, Anne-Marie said she's on her way here. She had to reboot. There
problem.
she is. So, all right, why don't you go ahead and wrap here, 13? I mean, look, good timing there. Why don't you go ahead and wrap? Any closing words for the group?
Well, kind of expected to have these past couple of days be not so great for the market. I guess we got that mostly today. Yesterday was a much better day, but we anticipated this weakness. So we'll just close the week with what we've been saying all week. Make sure you have your shopping list ready. I think discounts and bargains are coming. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think it's a good idea to raise some cash and just be ready for when that happens. So folks, get that money ready, and we'll come back here next week. We'll make some more, and we'll see if we can find any long-term deals. Until then, have a great time with Anne-Marie. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.
Have a good one, 13. Let's go. All right. 13, really good stuff here this week. Have a good one. We'll catch up with you on Monday. All right, boss?
You got it.
All right. Myself off instead of taking 13. Let's make sure I bring on the right person. Let's bring some sunshine into this day. Let's bring on Anne-Marie. There she is. Anne-Marie, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm sorry about being late. I had to reboot.
That's okay. You got to see me remove myself instead of 13, so we're going to have a big laugh about that. I don't know if you caught the news here. We did lose Chuck Norris today, so you might see some Chuck Norris jokes floating through the chat. We're doing that out of respect, just to set the stage for you.
What a guy.
This is probably my favorite
So
one all day here.
entertaining.
Chuck Norris can divide by 0, as a matter of fact. So, okay. Anne-Marie, what do you got here for us? I've got a couple of ideas here, but I want to go with what you see and what you're thinking here first.
Okay, so a couple of things. I did a short list scan, and what that does is just bring me the highest volume, the biggest market cap, and it tells me whether I'm looking for bullish, bearish, whatever in general. So we've got a few choices, noticing a lot of energy names popping up on a few different screens, and then, figuring out what's going on right now. So what I'd like to do is just, before we jump in there, spend about 2 minutes on what's actually happening in the market, why we're seeing the fades, what's going on with the big moves up and down. And so this is a quad witching event. Well, they call it triple witching now. So we have our daily and weekly options expiring. We have our monthly options expiring, and we have our quarterly options expiring. Next week, the JP Morgan hedge comes off, and that's also really big. But what's happening right now is that all the market makers are trying to dynamically hedge so they don't get themselves in a pickle. So a lot of people tend to think, oh, market makers, they manipulate the market to XYZ. Listen, they are liquidity providers, and they allow transactions to flow by taking one side of a book or another. And so we began the morning with this put wall at 6,600. And as we started lifting off of it in the pre-market, a number of the market makers said, hey, listen, I can buy back some of those short contracts I had because I'm moving farther away from the put wall. And that means I don't need to have as much downside protection. On the flip side, we come into the morning and we start selling off, getting back into the put wall. And so they have to dynamically hedge again. So it rushes down into sports, loses that 6,600 in the ES. This is the chart I'm talking about. Let's magnify it. They lose the ES, and then after they lose that 6,600 in the ES, they turn around and buy it right back up. Now, this is unique for quad witching because so many instruments are expiring. So many options are expiring. And so the traders have to move back and forth because they have no idea which way price action is going to end up. They just can't be on the wrong side. So you'll see them dynamically hedge, and it'll zoom down, and then it'll flatten out, and it'll zoom up, and then it'll flatten out. And that's really just what's happening on quarterly expiration. So that's it. Just if that makes not enough sense at all, throw it out. Not important. It's just a way to tell you what's going on with all the wiggles. The wiggles are going to be part of today.
Anne Marie, I wanted to do this right as you were coming on, but I got sidetracked there. The graphic that you shared with me, can we share that with the group right now?
Please, yes.
Okay, so Anne Marie comes bearing gifts here today. For any of you that are still kind of learning about the Greeks or really need a cheat sheet, I think Anne Marie has developed something that is quite awesome here. I'm going to put it on screen right now. Here's what I would say. If you like this, or if you want this image as a cheat sheet, please go ahead and screenshot the stream right now, or screenshot the region here for this graphic. Anne-Marie, I thought this was great. I thought this was super easy to read. I am going to consult this because I'm not a Greeks. I don't have all this stuff memorized. And this I thought was very, very helpful. So I appreciate you sharing this, and I appreciate that we can share this with the group. So for anyone
That's
that wants
awesome.
that, go ahead and click it.
Thanks for bringing
screenshot,
that.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up. It's I thought it was really well put together. I just truly got to give Gemini. I told him what I wanted. I told them what I felt was important, and they went, hey, I'll build you an infographic out of that. So that's great. Super happy with that. All right.
Okay,
So
awesome.
So what are we looking at now? We're looking at price action that's very, very sideways. And hopefully you're not hearing a beeping in the background.
Nope.
Okay, great. I don't have any idea where it's coming from, but obviously it's me because this is the second show I've been on that's making this noise. So it's all me. All right. So let's take a look at a couple of the things we want to see today. So I have the scan. And so this tells us that it's got pretty good updraft, awesome oscillators above zero. So it's looking pretty good. So let's take a look at Dell. And what I want to do is use, let's see if I can get a new window out. I want to take a look at the seasonality event. Super important. I want to make sure that Dell has the right seasonality before we look at this long term. I do think that we see things that look positive.
Yeah, and it's got a tailwind here today with the SMCI news.
Okay. Oh, what's the SMCI news?
Oh, SMCI news is that 3 people from that company have been found out to be smuggling AI chips to China to avoid export controls. So the real quick and dirty on this, it's 3 individuals. Those are the ones that are alleged to have done this. They basically opened the server racks and put them in unmarked boxes and then put and sent them into China. The company itself is distancing itself from these people. They've terminated one of the contractors that was working with this, and they say that they are cooperating. So take that all with a grain of salt. But that is moving SMCI down bigly, and Dell moving in the opposite direction in sympathy.
Okay. All right. That's great. So Dell has a little bit of positive seasonality from that perspective. So we'll put it off to the side, and it's showing here as a potential move. I think I want to look at Occidental Petroleum instead. It's just crossed over the zero line on that oscillator, and it's lifting a bit. I think energy is going to be okay. So let's go to OXY and take a look at what just happened in the earnings about 4 weeks ago. So here's what we've got. Upside pressure events, Occidental. Listen, this thing has been in a base. How long, right? Mr. What's
Buffett.
his name? Owns the guy, Buffett. Thank you so much. He's been languishing in here since, I don't know, I think since 21 he's had this. And so it's rising into relative resistance. So we've got the 200 simple moving average on the week that it just crossed over. Dips are going to be buys. Remember, folks, we are moving into a very volatile type of regime in the midterms. They don't look like any other things except other midterms. And so we have to look at it that way. And if we're going to position ourselves for quick strikes, they need to be really, really quick, 3, 4, 5 days, or we need to give them a long stretch. Other than that, volatility is going to whip us back and forth and throw it out. Case in point, Lulu did a fantastic job bouncing off of that bottom. It just had too much time on it. It's still all the way in April. I don't know if it's going to hold, but that's what we're looking at. We're looking at these clean bounces that just last a little bit of time and then they rotate. Now you might be going, Emery, this chart completely nullifies anything you just said because it's going straight up. So yes, I hear you. It's got room to run. It could have itself a little bit of a fade. And so from an Occidental Petroleum perspective, energy's got bullish traction. So how do you do that? I say think a little bit longer term and put yourself into the space where everything starts turning around. And that really is October, November. So let's take a look at the quick strike for the October, November. See if anybody is sitting around in there. By quick strike, I mean long strike. I did not mean to say quick strike. We've got 65 to 75 to 85. That's an 88-cent spread for $1,000 of upside. You're going to be able to take some beautiful asymmetric bets if you take the time and leave them to work. This is going to be the most important thing that we can talk about in terms of price action and rotation. Why am I picking 70? It's the very top of this last earnings event, and it's also got projections off of my cool little earnings projection tool that I built. We're just seeing if it continues to work. And so far it's doing well. It works on the weekly for the longer cycles, works on the daily for the shorter cycles. So let's go to the daily and take a look at it. And we can see from the daily, it is very outsized, right? The average best is 6.5 of the range, and we have already done that. And so it's getting into those topping spaces that we really want to watch out for. My thought would be wait for it to come back into the last gap, and that's 56, and then consider the trade long. We've got negative divergence. Although it's positive in location, it's negative in drift because we are moving from a high to a higher high and then a high to a lower high in momentum. So price is not moving in the same direction as momentum. We want to watch for this to top out into the space. So we want to be really careful. If you're still thinking to yourself, hey, I don't care what you're saying, I think it's going up, I think energies continue to rally, we're not going to have anything going on, then you can say to yourself, you know, okay, I hear you. If it were me, I would take a short put spread. April doesn't really give me much revenue. If you want to take a long look at the open interest into the expiration, you can do a simple 62.50 to 65 call spread. You'll still get over 2x if it works. So nothing to sneeze at. So from that space, if you go, hey, I think it'll go upside, then that's what we're staring at for those two. I do want to go back to Circle because we talked about, I said, hey, listen, 128, 129 looks like the top of the range. You probably ought to take some profit. And it did move higher. It has moved higher, but notice momentum. And this is really what I want to talk about. Momentum is drifting. It's still positive. Listen, I am of the mind that this thing is going to go to between 161 and 190. It's just telling us right now that they are battling at holding that zone. So just be careful. Be careful hanging on to this position. Wait for the dips. Look for the big fat round number. Put an alert right there at the 95 to 100 marker. And then see if you want a position from there. Okay, just as a little note. Okay, do you look at me? What a knucklehead. I said, let me know when it's over 100. Yeah, it's over 100 right now, stupid. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to myself like that out loud in front of you guys.
No, it's okay.
So,
we're all about self-deprecation around here. So
yeah, so what do we have going on here? Taiwan Semiconductor. This one is also interesting, right? Again, midterms, semiconductors, chips, tech, the whole shebang, they tend to move downward into the midterm cycle. They start getting traction into September. If you've got Taiwan Semiconductor right now, this is an area it's got to hold. See the earnings candle? This is the bottom of the range. It held it the last time. If you're thinking to yourself, I want to bounce, not a bad idea here. You've got about $10 of risk. If you believe that seasonality is not correct at this particular juncture, you can say, hey, I'm going to go to April, see if it runs for a little bit. I'm going to take, let's see where they are, 8,000 at 360. So let's go 350. Oops. 350, 360, 370. It's $1 for $1,000 of upside. If you're thinking that from a bullish perspective, if you want to buy the bullish perspective, but then say, maybe I can pay for that with a spread. I'll be okay if I look at some risk. The bottom edge is this prior earnings formation. And so 290 would be the floor that you would want to position a potential short put spread. Your short put spread does take margin, but it pays completely for the call spread. So literally, you could move up to 360, make $1,000, and it's paid for completely with the credit spread, or it could really lose 30 points and you'd still be okay. 40 points, you'd still be okay making money. So there's that to look at. What else do I have here? Apache. I don't want to take Apache. How about ConocoPhillips?
Yeah, COP. That's one we've been trading and talking about quite a bit recently.
Look at this beast.
Yep.
I mean, beast. And so again, it's way up at the top of its earnings expectations. Momentum is up, but divergent. Trend is still the winner, but the flattening momentum always gives me a little pause. That worries me. So it has bullish formations. It has strength. The pullbacks are buys. So you have a couple of different options. Let's go to the weekly and let me see if I can find. Okay, so here's what it's actually doing. This is the formation it's after. This old earnings event. And as you can see, the top end of that is 130. The high is 135. And I think that's an all-time high for an all-time high in ConocoPhillips, I believe, outside splits or whatever we might be looking at. So that's the top of the range at this juncture, but it's very bullish. And you can see seasonality simply grinds to the north. So how do you want to play that? When you've got grinding north action to seasonality, time is going to be your friend. So how do you want to do that? How do you want to trade time? You want to trade time through iron condors, through sideways price action that's going to give you something. I would say go out into May. Not directional, because take a look at why it's not a directional motion event. Look at these jagged forms. This is not straight up, it's jagged. And so when it's jagged, you want to use time as your best friend. And so we maybe look at 140 on the top and 115 on the bottom. So let's use May. 15 on the bottom and 40 on the top. And that's where everybody is. That's where the wall is. Well, the wall is actually up here at the top where we see it moving out. So this one gives us way more than the $2 that we're looking for. Let's say you want to swing for the fences and you go, hey, I believe this thing gets back to where it was. I think it hits 135. Easily, you can do 135 to 140. It's a buck. You're still going to make 2.5x, right? That's nothing to sneeze at. But this is not a place that we're looking for price action that is going to definitively give us a pressure event that's going to say, hey, we're, running for the hills. It's just not that kind of market. It just simply is not that kind of market. I'd love for it to be that kind of market, but it isn't. It's very, very sideways. Okay, do you have any thoughts?
On stocks to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do Dell just because it's kind of related to SMCI, and I kind of wanted to I think we actually might have some possibility for upside on Dell, whereas I don't think that's the case in SMCI. But that was one of the big conversations that we had here this morning. And you also hit on oil there with COP. That's been another one that we've talked about quite a bit. So I think let's go with Dell, if that's
okay.
Right.
So look at the seasonality for Dell. It definitely looks pretty.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, looks really, really good. And they have earnings at the end of May. So why not position into May? Right? We have the highest vol, except for the one. That's very interesting. April's overall vol is higher than May's. But May is.
So is that the run up?
Event. No,
Okay.
June is where the earnings is. I forgot. May the 15th. So, daggone it, that stinker just shook me out of my long. I had a long on one of my other screens. It shook me out of it. All right, so this one looks pretty good. Let's do some analysis. Prior highs, 168 to 180. Also good measurement on the upside out of the earnings channel. Let's see what else, since we could be hitting. Let's do waveform. Oh, very nice. It's probably after the 200. Once they get to 150, they chop around there for a long time, try to get to 200. That's probably where it's headed. So the question is, how long do you want to take the trade for? For it to be over 200, they're telling us it's October. Okay? If you want to trade where it's sitting right now, somewhere cheap but will still pay you, we're looking at, okay, we have the wall here in May. Let's say you want to do April because you just think it's going to move faster because people are going to move out and then pile in someplace else. Volume just today, that's very interesting. Much higher than the open interest. So definitely you can see that rotation in there. Let's play that guy, right? Let's play 175, 185, 195, $1.21, $1,000 of upside. If you want to trade the in-betweens, you can say, I'm going to go 170 to 180 to 190. It's a little bit more expensive because you're closer to being at the money. That's why you would do that. But once it gets to that 180 area, if you've got this one and it gets to 180, you need to cut and run. You need to get out of the trade. If you're taking a look at long-term action, hey, let's see what happens. It's October. It should be getting to 200. What do you want to do? Let's do it 20 wide and see what it gives us. 180, 200, 220. $2.18. Again, this is one of those spaces where you're going to have asymmetric risk to reward in your favor. Tiny amount of risk, tremendous amount of potential reward. They're showing up all over the place, but time is going to be your best friend. Nothing else.
Okay. Anne-Marie, I like it. Really good breakdown here yet again. Thanks for everything. Do me
My
a favor
pleasure.
and have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week.
You too. You too.
Right.
Yeah. Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks for everything, Anne-Marie. Have a good
you.
one. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Paulo today. Let's bring him on. Paulo, how you doing?
Hello, Ryan. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you look good, sound good, ready to rip. What do you got for us today?
Perfect. We have some relative rotation graphics actually for today. And
Okay.
as always, if some members would like to request some charts, some tickers, feel more than welcome to do so.
Okay, absolutely beautiful. Trading Made Simple with Paulo starts right now.
All right.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fit-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. How is it going? I hope we are all having some great weeks, and let's get started. So for today, we are going to start actually our session by reviewing some of the relative rotation graphics, which is a tool I have been studying lately and starting to apply in our analysis. And then, of course, we're going with a broad market analysis quickly to also leave some time for some potential requests. So if anyone would like to request any chart, any ETF, any stock we would like to see, please just type the ticker in the chat room. I have it right here to the left. And of course, we can check it out. And let's see it here. All right, first, this is what I would start. What I would like to start with are the relative rotation graphics, all right? So we're going to quickly explain how they actually work. This is a great tool. It's one of, I do believe it's one of the best tools out there. I discovered it actually some month ago. I have been studying it and slowly, step by step, starting to apply it in our analysis. So how is it that this works? It's a tool to compare relative rotation against certain assets, certain tickers against a benchmark. All right. So how does this work? First, you choose a benchmark, which is going to be right here in the middle point. And then you start bringing the assets you want to compare against that specific benchmark. And you have 4 quadrants with 2 subdivisions, one horizontal subdivision and one vertical one. All right. The vertical subdivision with the benchmark, in this case for this RRG, it's going to be the S&P 500. In the middle, the vertical rotation divides stocks underperforming the benchmark against stocks outperforming the benchmark. All right, the relative rotation on the vertical subdivision here. And then the horizontal subdivision, it's going to subdivide stocks with momentum underperforming the momentum from the benchmark. And above the horizontal subdivision, we have stocks that have momentum improving. All right. So which is actually the formula for the momentum? It would be the ROC on the selected time frame you choose of the relative comparison chart of that ticker to the benchmark. So for example, if we are looking at XLF, if it is located to the left or to the right, it will depend if its price it's outperforming or underperforming the S&P 500. And if it is located above or below the middle subdivision, it will depend if the ROC of XLF against SPY is outperforming or underperforming the S&P 500 ROC as well. I don't want to get too technical into the formula for building it, but it gives us four important areas. First, we have the green area, which is the leading quadrant, and this one has stocks that are outperforming in price and outperforming in momentum the S&P 500. Then we got the yellow, which is the weakening, stocks that are still outperforming in price the benchmark, but its momentum, it's starting to lose strength and it's actually underperforming momentum. Then we have the lagging sector, the red one, stocks that both its price and its momentum are underperforming the benchmark. And then we got the blue one, the improving, which is stocks that are still underperforming in price, but its momentum, it's actually improving against the benchmark. So basically, the theory and the concept behind the relative rotation graphics would be that stocks rotate on a circular way. Of course, not absolutely every of the time, but they tend to rotate on a circular way in which you can spot which stocks are actually starting to lose momentum and will soon underperform, and stocks that were underperforming that are gaining momentum and could be market leaders. This does not tell us the market direction. It doesn't. It's not going to tell us if the S&P 500 is going higher or lower, but what it does tell us, and pretty accurate, is if we are going on a bull rally, which stocks, which sectors could be leaders of a bull rally? If we are going on a bear trend, which stocks would be leading that downside momentum? So we would be shorting the laggers on a downtrend. We would be buying the winners on a potential bull trend. All right. And what is it that we have? I have three important graphics for today. I have built my relative rotation graphics on two setups, one on the 5-day time frame for short-term setups, and then one on the weekly time frame, which is this one. So this has 4 weeks of market data. The arrow here, the point of the arrow, it's going to be the current price action, and then the tails are the previous past readings. So for example, for let's see, XLB here, this would be our current reading. Last week we were here, the previous we were here, the previous we were here, and we started the other previous right here. So we can see, for example, here on XLB, how we're having that circular rotation out. And what is it that we are seeing that's actually quite interesting? And then we're going to compare it with our charts. I see we have some requests. We're going to check them all, so feel free to request more. We're just going quickly here, but I do think it's important to mention what we're spotting here is that this is a risk-on rotation. I know with all the geopolitical situation, it's very bearish out there, the narrative, the news, and I'm not saying the market will not continue dropping, but right now we're actually seeing rotation and from defensive sectors into risk on sectors. What do we have? We have XLB, XLP, XLI going from market leaders, right? We were leading through November through October, but they lost momentum and now they actually dropped here. XLB, it's already lagging, all right? Real estate also dropping, utilities, XLU, it's still leading, all right? It's still leading, but its momentum, it's pointing lower, indicating we could go for that circular rotation, and even XLE. So XLE, its price is still strongly. We can see in price, energy sector is the one outperforming the most. Remember, price to the right or left, momentum up or below, but its momentum, it's declining. So I would not be getting that bullish right now on XLE, despite it's still outperforming. It kind of looks, we might start to see some weakening momentum. It still has both momentum and price outperforming, but the trend, and this is 4 weeks of price action, so it's the only one that actually, of course, kind of went to the right and still wants to remain here. The other defensive sectors of the market are actually rotating out. Which is rotating in? XLK, tech, XLC, which has Google and Meta, even consumer discretionary starting to recover, and even financial sector. I wouldn't call it a risk on sector, but we're kind of starting to go a bit here. So SPDR, 4-week relative rotation against the SPX would kind of be signaling a bit of rotation from industrials into tech. All right, let's bring the next one. The next one is going to be thematic ETFs. I really love this tool. It's going to be thematic ETFs. Oh, come on. All right. Thematic ETFs against the S&P 500. What is it that we have? Same, 4 weeks of price data. We have software stocks, IGV, outperforming both in price and momentum. So that doesn't mean IGV is going to go higher. If the market is dropping, what is signaling is that it will drop at a slower pace. But if the market goes higher, it would go higher at a much faster pace here. All right. Then we have actually FinTech, FinX. We even have RKK, speculative tech, super risk on sector, and we also have QQQ, who is showing some downside momentum. URA, nuclear stocks. Also TAN, the DIA, semiconductor stocks was dropping. Now it does seem it kind of tries to catch up. But where is it that I think it gets interesting is that aerospace and defense, ITA, it's still leading in price, but we're losing momentum. And with everything going on, and ITA has Lockheed Martin, GE Aerospace, RTX, Rocket Lab, Northern, all those military stocks, right? So I would understand that with everything that's going on in the Middle East, which of course we hope it resolves on the best way possible, with everything going on in the Middle East, I'm actually surprised to see rotation out of aerospace and defense, of ITA. I would understand that they should still be outperforming. So it's a bit early to say, but what is actually the market pricing in when we're seeing that? What is the market trying to be ahead of when we're seeing that military stocks on the past 4 weeks are actually starting to underperform against risk-on sectors such as QQQ, RKK, FinTech, IGV? Looks definitely interesting to me. And the final one is you can also do stocks. And this is Magnificent 7 stocks against the S&P 500. Who would be market leaders? Right now, past 4 weeks, Microsoft, Amazon, check it out. This is a complete resurrection for Microsoft and Amazon. Amazon was even outside of the screen. Imagine how much was that drop. It was outside of the screen. Now they're still underperforming in price, but they're pointing we're going to be leading a potential rally. So this is not telling us if bull rally or bear rally. What this is telling us, if bull rally, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, looking strong. Even NVIDIA starting to bring in some signals of life. Now, Apple actually losing momentum. Google starting to recover, but much slower than Amazon or Microsoft. So I would focus on both Amazon or Microsoft. All right, and then let's go with our charts here. And then we're absolutely going with our weakest that we have gave some time. So market, we're down how much? 6-7%. From all-time highs. Feels like a bear market, doesn't it? Let's check it here. Feels completely like a bear market, and we are down 6%. This is the most bearish 6% I think I've felt in a long time. All right, we have been following our Elliott wave structures. Remember, we have mentioned on Elliott wave cycles, usually wave 1 goes from oversold into overbought, wave 2 from overbought into equilibrium, same on 2023, and that brings us where we are. We have discussed this multiple times, so I will go a bit quickly as we also want to go with our requests. So we went from oversold into overbought, and now we're basically with RSI back to equilibrium. So bulls have to start stepping in here, or if not, I think I would personally start flipping bearish. So which is my risk zone here? It's going to be the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement for the S&P 500. We have never retraced from the April lows. We have never retraced the 0.236 Fibonacci retracement in all this bull market, which is at least the first spot downside target that a valid wave 2 retracement should actually reach. We almost did it here, but I would have to, here it is. We almost did it on November, but a few points here, we didn't reach for that. So I was a bit worried about a continuation of a bull rally, actually, even though there's still some bullish signals in the market. Without a proper retest of the 0.2, I would understand now we're going to be going through it. So I do think I would be looking for a potential bottom at 63.50 to 64.80. If we break below 63.50, I would understand that this Elliott wave model will not be developing. My count would be incorrect. And of course, I would have to spot which would be the current valid trade. There's no problem on doing technical projections that can get outdated, of course. The problem is when your confirmation starts to get invalidated and you remain stubborn trying to, all right, drawing lower price targets and trying to fit perspective into what you would like to see rather than what you're seeing. Right now, I would say this is still pointing towards a potential ABC correction in which I would be looking for a bottom on 63.50 to 64.90. What do we have on the Dow Jones? Here on the Dow, we are retesting the 0.2, 0.3. I think the bulls would need to step in at 45,200. If we break below 45,200, I would understand maybe my count would be incorrect and there could be something more macro bearish developing here for the Dow. This would also be from oversold into overbought back to equilibrium. We can check it here for the Dow. Wave 1 from oversold almost into overbought all the way back to equilibrium, right? So we would kind of be here on that potential wave to bottom. Now let's go to the NASDAQ, and here is where we see that rotation. Remember this, and let's go 1 second back to the Dow. Dow, look, this week's of just very bearish, and that is a rotation we're seeing on the relative rotation graphic. See, NDX, somehow we're still a bullish breakout. We broke above the structure. Now we are retesting on what seems also kind of to be a potential ABC correction as well. I would say 23,900. Maybe we could survive if we hold the 0.382, but to be honest, if we start breaking here, I think this is going to start looking more bearish. So even though we're almost here, I think the 23,900 would be my ultimate risk for the NASDAQ. If we start breaking lower here, I would have to flip bearish as we would have lost the breakout. But then where is it that I do think, even though we could be on the final stages of a bull market, we are not going into the bear market yet. But of course, this is just my personal opinion. I cannot predict the future. So I just do technical analysis and try to see and try to read, hopefully correctly, what the charts would currently be signaling. And when you see IWM, it's hard for me to get bearish on this chart for small caps. And usually small caps, risk-on, speculative sectors are the final leaders of the final stages of a bull market. So I would understand, this is a multi-year breakout for small caps, for IWM. We're breaking out, we're retesting it. We even got a double bottom. This would be an ABC correction to the 0.2, 0.3. And then when we bring the volume profile, well, volume profile, I was expecting something a bit more loaded here, even though there's positions we also got here. Let me see the volume profile, but since this bottom is looking a bit better. So when I went from COVID, it still showed a bit of the volume on this top, but I do think it's still looking good here, IWM. And then where is it that surprisingly, I personally think it looks bullish, RKK. So yes, of course, I know what's the sentiment with RKK. It has completely underperformed the market. I'm not saying I'm bullish on the sector itself, but when you actually see the volume profile, it's hard for me to not see this as a stage 1 accumulation, especially when we have this strong volume profile on these lows. It's very strong. Momentum is building, and I would think RKK, it's actually building some strength to break out on a potential final stage of a bull market. Remember what we are seeing here. Check it out. Check it out. Let me bring it. Where are you? You're right here. This is price. Our relative rotation graphics. Where is RKK? Somehow, it's leading both in momentum and price against the S&P 500. So on a panic selling, on a market crash, broad market scenario, everything going down, surprisingly, RKK is holding. And that's why I think what we have been going through since October, November, December, February, March, it's a rotation. It's taken so long that it could also have been the potential top, and it was just a distribution. But I do think until those levels we just saw on the S&P 500, NASDAQ, while they remain valid, while the NASDAQ is still a macro bullish breakout, I would cautiously treat this as a wave 2 pullback. We're seeing this. It's still a risk on rotation, surprisingly, on the 4 past weeks of market data. And we have RKK for a potential breakout here. Let's go here with some of our requests. And we have here yes, I have Brazilian family. Let's go here with SNDK. All right, I don't have that one charted, but let's do our best with it. Oh, nice. Okay, IPO into accumulation into into heaven. First of all, here we're going with the volume profile since IPO. Okay, they loaded it up here, absolutely, but they are also selling here. Initially, all right, initially I would say this looks like we're in a wave 5. This would be 1, 2, I think it's pretty clear. This would be 3, 4, and I'm not saying this is the top, but we are in the final wave. There's no reason I would try to catch this stock here. No reason I would try to catch this stock. I couldn't tell you when is the top. We don't have much price data to draw some trend lines, but just on an Elliott wave structure, we can do some Fibonacci projections, though. We can do some, yeah, see? Wave 3 usually goes to the 1.6 Fibonacci extension. So this was wave 3, absolutely. And then wave 4, okay. I do think the top, usually when wave 3 is 1.6 of wave 1, usually wave 5, it's around the top, it's around the 1 and 1.6. But I don't have much price history to do this, all right? So I'm only using Fibonacci projections for this. Of course, I would like to use much more tools, but we need more price history. I would look for a potential top here at 772 to 930. Somewhere around here, I would be looking for a potential top for it. Also, let me see here the insider activity. 1 second, I got it here on another. No, insider activity, we got 20,000 buys against 4,000 sales. So I wouldn't say insider activity is heavily bearish. Let's go with the next one here. KGC. Kinross Gold. Goodbye. Absolute goodbye. I mean goodbye, not a goodbye that to get in. We got a super bearish crossover on the MACD. We even got the bearish divergence here. Nope. It's probably done. Let me see here. I think an Elliott wave structure would be starting here. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's quickly go with the FIBO extension. 1.6. Oh, we got to go into the log chart for this one. 1.6. 2.6 wave 3, or maybe somewhere around here. It's not that clear on the log. Here, this one does look better, but we cannot use the extension because we go past for the Fibonacci extension, we would have to use the logarithmic chart. The move has been too vertical. Well, we got a double top here. So just using price action here, I would skip Elliott wave, of course. Since I don't have it charted, I would like to dedicate more time for it. So skipping Elliott wave, what we have is a bearish divergence on price. That's bearish. We have a bearish crossover on the MACD. That's also bearish. And we got a double top. Oh, we can do volume profile since bottom. All right. It looks like just maybe a correct, but they did bought it. They did bought it strongly here. Let's see the past weeks. Oh no, volume profile is not looking good. There's also one I want to show here. And remember, we discussed gold some weeks ago. And I remember I actually mentioned gold as a sale. And in the chat room, we had some activity, right? Like, oh, how can it be possible? Gold a sale, it's so high. Gold is going to 10,000. It's gold. Forget about the markets. Forget crypto. It's gold. Now, what are we seeing? So, what I would like to signal from this GLD chart? The volume. Remember, we always mention it's not the color of the volume. It's the big spikes. Where are they coming? Are they coming at the bottom, or are they coming at the top? Because this tells us the amount of shares traded under that window. And we understand that, well, of course, for big volume spikes, institutional money has to participate on those transactions because they only have the volume to trigger. They only have the amount of money to trigger this volume. We understand big institutional money is smart money. So if smart money was participating here, I don't think smart money was actually buying GLD at 509 when we were some years ago at 190. I would understand GLD absolutely sold their position. I do have an Elliott wave count for it. I do think our cycle completed, and I do think GLD top and probably also silver is done. We got a bearish divergence. We got here this peak against this peak was a higher high with a bearish divergence on the weekly. Bearish MACD crossover. Maybe we could bounce, do a double top, but I do think this is a potential top. I'm not saying gold is going all the way, but this, I think it's a potential top here for gold. Let's go with the other one, SNDK. We already checked it out. Let's see here, VIAV. We have Tesla. Let me see if we find ones that I already have charted here. No, all right, so let's go with VIAV, and then finally I would be going with Bitcoin. This one, I don't have this one charted, but let me check it out. Amazing. What a chart. Momentum is still going. We don't have any bearish divergence. Momentum is still going. Ooh. All right, I don't like what happened here on the dot-com bubble. I don't know its price history also. So let's kind of focus here. I would understand volume profile is bullish. Yes, it's bullish. They haven't sold anything yet. From the bottom, have they sold? Nope. All right, volume profile, still loading, still loading. Now, Elliott, this would be number one. Oh, we could maybe go for a wave 4 correction, but applying some Elliott wave perspective, this does seem that we still can run. For this one as well, we're going to have to go into the logarithmic. Yeah, 1.6. I think maybe we see a pullback at 46, maybe even here. So usually the wave 3 target is 1.6, 2.6. So I would understand this would look potentially something like this. This was wave 2. Wave 3 could be somewhere here, then maybe a wave 4. And then a final one. I'm just signaling here the move, not those levels, but I do think this would be a wave 3 starting from the bottom. I don't think this was a wave 3. And because we still have the highest point. We still have the highest point in the RSI. Remember what we always say on RSI momentum when we are looking at it, comparing it against against the Elliott wave count. Wave 1 usually goes from oversold into overbought. Wave 2 goes from overbought into equilibrium. Wave 3 has the highest point on the RSI. Wave 4 back into equilibrium. And wave 5 has the bearish divergence, similar to what we have seen on our previous price on our Elliott wave counts. SPX, wave 1 from oversold into overbought, wave 2 into equilibrium, wave 3 has the highest RSI, wave 4 back into equilibrium, and wave 5 has the bearish divergence. Same here, and that is the reason why I do think this is a wave to bottom. Let's go finally with Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Oh, this is not mine, of course. It's this one here. First, we're going into our cycles. I hope I didn't mess it up. I was doing some drawings with the harmonics. All right, so this remains here, my cycle for Bitcoin. We have been following lately. And of course, this is just a technical model. It can get outdated, it can get broken, of course. But when we are looking at potential, this is all Bitcoin's price history, and we're trying to find the cycles applying a sine wave tool in strategy. So what we see, since Bitcoin was created, the major drops, 2011 crash, our first bottom, then the bottom here for 2014, right? Yep, 2014, right on the throat here from the cycle. The other bottom, also here, the 2022, also here. So 4 cycles, they are measured from bottom to bottom, not from top to top. All right. And now what we're seeing is that applying that same cycle, we're kind of here on the lows, already starting to go in, which should be the start of a potential new cycle. All right, this can get broken, and my chart can get completely unbroken. I'm not saying this has to develop. There's no certainties on the market, but kind of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle looking like a potential bottom here. Let's go into the weekly time frame. So we got the cycle here too, but also our price action. And what we're actually seeing, we can see there how it goes with the RSI, right? Check it. Behaves very interesting for the bottoms. So we would be here again. All right, what is it that we have? Well, we broke below an important support, all right? So this one is out. And now we are retesting 0.6. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. This is the logarithmic chart. All right. And we're finishing, of course. I'm still in a couple minutes. All right. No, we haven't not yet broken down. I was wondering, this is not what I remembered. Okay, so we're retesting here an important support trend line. We can see we're still on the bottoms from the cycle. And we are basically retesting the 0.6 Fibonacci retracement of our previous bull market. I also wanted to do, if this is an ABC correction, which have we already reached the 1.6 or is it the 1? Oh, we reached the 1.6. Well, I think Bitcoin and crypto could be close to a potential bottom. It's also a bit early to say so, but what we see is that momentum indicators on the weekly time frame are completely oversold, the MACD, the RSI, and we're also on the cycle lows. We can see here the sine wave cycle, how it adapts to the RSI perfectly. I'm not saying there's no way we cannot drop. Yes, of course. We cannot predict the future. Market works based on future events. We do not know what will happen on the future. Unfortunate news for the world, for the economy, for humanity can happen. Of course, we hope not, but that will shape price action. And I cannot know, especially with everything that is going on wars and that, we can wake up to some sudden tragic news and that will break any chart, right? But I do think the charts for Bitcoin, I kind of currently I would be looking for a potential bottom around here. Remember, the cycles doesn't tell us exactly when is the bottom. Check it out here for this 2022 bear market. We had the bottom here, right on the middle. We were here. Let me zoom in 1 second. On the bottom, and this is already the final. On the bottom was here. No, I'm sorry. In the middle, we had this low, but then we made a lower low. How many weeks? 2 months later, we did a lower low. So bottom was actually here. So we're not using it for exact entries and exit, but we're using the cycle model for areas of accumulation and potential distribution. We can see here this accumulation lasted. This accumulation lasted a bit less, but it also lasted. So, maybe we could chop around even until August. But I do think this is where I would be buying crypto rather than selling it. I'm not calling for a bottom. I'm not saying that we're going to have a V-shaped recovery. Only thing I'm saying is the cycles tool and strategy and cycles model. The cycle model on the weekly time frame would be signaling this is much closer to be an accumulation zone than a selling zone. And that will be all for today. I hope this was a nice session. We're going to start bringing in some of the relative rotation charts too to spot some potential trends as well. And yes, that will be all for today. I would like to thank you everyone on the team on Benzinga for having us here. I'm Paulo. You can see more about our work at our website, tradingmadesimple.org. We have live trading sessions. We have coaching sessions. Trade signals, many cool features. Don't forget to visit our website, tradingmadesimple.org. I hope this was a nice 30-minute session here, checking the markets, seeing what's going to happen with everything that's going on. I hope you all have a great weekend and see you on the next program. Thank you, everyone. Have a great